So we'll have a delay until modified qualifying for the cars and the stars of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. And what a great night it is, brought to you by Miller Lite. So we honor and salute Mike Ewanitsko, a 28-time winner on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. He's 8th on the all-time list. 11 of those wins were right here at Riverhead Raceway, including Michael's first career Whelen Modified Tour victory. His first Modified Tour victory back in 1987. And Mike Ewanitsko, on top of those 11 wins in the Tour at Riverhead Raceway, has amassed another 19 wins for a total of 30 career victories here at Riverhead Raceway. And Ewanitsko, if you had the opportunity to see Mike Ewanitsko run here at Riverhead Raceway, then you know exactly what we'll be talking about tonight. But there are drivers in the pit area, such as a Justin Bonsignor, that got to watch him, as well as a Ronnie Silk when he was younger. But Ewanitsko drove for some of the best car owners on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, as he drove for Mario Fiore in the 44 car. He drove the 21 for Art Barry, the 00 for Joe Brady. He also drove the Sheba Racing, Scott and Patty Benzel, number 8. He even had one start in Pocono for the Tiger Tom Baldwin and almost won that thing in Baldwin's backup car when Ewanitsko in a heat race crashed his car while leading. Came back in the pits and said they were done, but they had a guaranteed starting spot. And Tom Baldwin said to him, that car right there is exactly the same as the one that we qualified third with here today. He said, you're going to have to start last. They put black shoe polish on the car. They made a number 36 in yellow, and Ewanitsko started last. By lap 60, he was your race leader. And he passed Baldwin, who was running second. And Baldwin came over the radio and said, are you guys kidding me right now? As Ewanitsko sailed on by in car number 36. He lost a fuel pump later in the event, but Michael Ewanitsko, no matter what you put him in, I'll never forget spotting for Tom Baldwin on a weekend at Jennerstown. And he said to me, do me a favor, go down into turn number 1 and tell me when Michael lifts. We're going to do the same thing. I said, okay. So I went down there and I keyed the mic and I said, he just lifted. All right, we're doing the same thing. On a qualifying lap, Tommy Baldwin went down into turn number 1, lifted when Ewanitsko lifted, and put it in the fence. So we actually rebuilt the car, fixed the car, and came back and finished 4th at Jennerstown. But Michael Ewanitsko, no matter where they went, no matter what car he was in, we even had one night here at Riverhead where Baldwin had sold his car to Xavier Urbina. And he just couldn't get the car to turn, he said. And we put Michael Ewanitsko in that car in a Consi, 12-car Consi or 14-car Consi, and Ewanitsko won it in a seat that he didn't fit in. He won the race in that car, starting in the back of the bus. But those guys used to show up here. When I was a kid, you'd see the Mutual Engraving potato chip wagon come down the driveway with the number 36, the red and yellow number 36 on the back of it. We would be just, practice is done, everything's done. Those guys would roll that car off the trailer, and Michael would come out here, put it on the outside, and put on a show. And if you had the opportunity to see it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you didn't, I so wish you had, because There was no one quite like Mike Ewanitsko. And he started at the Isom Speedway in the Ira Bromley Lou Hennessy number 23. It was a Chevette-style body. Then they also had I'd have to get Norman Pepper up here to get all the real info on it. But hearing 2 weeks ago from Norman Pepper, we always talk about Ewanitsko used to run. He only ran this one, his own chassis, and they called it Timex. He, Glenn Dixon, that whole group labeled the car. They called it Timex because it just kept taking a licking and keep on ticking. You know the whole story. And that car I thought was in Michael's mom's backyard. It's actually in the possession of Norman Pepper. And Norman has the original body panels from Michael as well. So Norman he's going to gussy that one up, just as he did this one you're going to see tonight, the 23 car, which is now owned by Dave Brigatti. But that car is here tonight. We thank Dave Brigatti and Brian Schwartz for getting that car out here tonight so we can honor Mike Ewanitsko. Can't wait to have him out on the racetrack. He will give the command to fire engines. His son Michael will throw the green flag for the Miller Lite 200, where we salute Mike Ewanitsko. Should be a great night. Modified qualifying coming up in about 35 minutes. Those cars pretty much roll through tech right now. Raymond Rao is in the pit area. We will try to get some interviews, some opinions, some ideas of what's going to happen here tonight from the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour drivers. As soon as we can get Raymond set up down there in the pits. As Deej Russell has headed that way with a microphone for Raymond. Let's go to Raymond Rao.
Well, we've caught up with Chris Young here, driver of the number 49 in the Whelen Modified Tour, a weekly competitor here at Riverhead Raceway. You've got one win, and one of the big stories coming in is we have yet to have a repeat winner here in the NASCAR Modifieds. Do you think you can get it done tonight?
We're going to try like heck. Caught up is pretty funny. The car was not good in practice, so we're probably second from last in time. But we're figuring it out. We changed all 4 springs, all 4 shocks, the track bar, the sway bar. I had a sandwich and a Gatorade. So maybe we'll have something better in time trials here. I'd like to put the 49 on the pin and leave it up there for at least, 5 or 6 cars so we can start a little bit better than last. But the setup that we put in it was really good last tour race. So, I don't know. Throw it against the wall and see if it sticks.
All right, well, we've got 200 laps ahead of us and a lot of competitors who don't compete here weekly but compete all over the East Coast. What is it like competing against those guys here?
It's definitely different than a regular Saturday night. A lot of these tour guys, they're used to larger tracks, so the car control on a short track where you're changing speed so rapidly isn't quite there. The guys that are kind of experienced here know where to beat and bang. So when you put a mix of guys that are practiced and sharp on a short track and then some of the best drivers in the country that are used to racing everywhere, it's definitely a mix. It makes it exciting. So some moves that we all know the local guys won't work, get tried from the tour guys. I think the last tour race, we were 3 wide with 7 to go trying to make a pass, which never works here. And it didn't work then. But, things like that make it interesting.
It's a big playing field when you have certain guys who don't run here weekly but run all over the East Coast and certain guys who run here weekly, but this is your home track and being from Long Island, how much pressure is on you to hold the fort down, I guess you could say, for the Long Islanders, for the weekly competitors, to go out here and try to beat those guys who don't compete here on a weekly basis?
There's definitely a lot of pressure for that. I think the guys that run weekly, the level of competition at this racetrack compared to any other weekly racing track, like across the country, it's more competitive than the tour show here. If you look at our practice time split on a regular Saturday night or our feature time split on a Saturday night. The field's much tighter week to week. You know, there's pressure to me, I think, because of how well we've been performing lately. You know, on the weekly series, we won, we finished second, we finished third. We're constantly in the top 3. You know, but that's a totally different setup package and a different set of tires and a different race strategy. You know, a 50-lap shootout versus a 200-lap race is very different mental approach. You know, the first 150 laps of this race is a throwaway. I mean, you're going to see us logging laps. You're going to see us being very forgiving for the most part in the first 150 laps. But after that, it's all bets are off, and that's kind of where the local guys' experience shows, because they're able to save a little bit better and they're able to, you know, cut through traffic when cars are worn out a little bit better. So, you know, even if we miss it on setup tonight, I'm confident, you know, halfway through the race we'll be starting to move forward if we don't have a rocket ship after all the changes that we made. So, you know, it's tough.
All right, we'll keep an eye out on that number 49 of Chris Young. He's won once already here at Riverhead Raceway and competes here weekly. Keep an eye out for that number 49 in time trials and in tonight's feature event. Back to you, Steve.
Thank you, Raymond Rao. Thank you, Chris Young. Great interview from Chris. Great insight on flow racing. And again, the Modified Tour qualifying will start shortly. Approximately 6 o'clock. Good job by our competitors to blast through qualifying there.
Here with the Natural Design Company, number 66 of Timmy Salamito, another weekly competitor here at Riverhead Raceway. You've taken on more of a part-time stance competing here at Riverhead Raceway, but this is still your home track. You've come in here now. You have all these different drivers from the Whelen Modified Tour coming in to compete with you and against you here at your hometown track. What's it like taking us through that?
It's cool. You know, these guys are all high-caliber drivers, so you know, it's tough, man. Everybody's so equal, and everybody's got the same stuff nowadays. So it makes the racing really tough, really competitive, but, you know, that's why we come out here. So I only run a part-time schedule now with my family car. I got a lot going on between my work and business, so it's good and bad, man. So we'll see what today brings. We kind of struggled there in practice a little bit. I think we ended up 6th fastest at the end there for time trials, so we'll roll off 6 from last to take time today. So we'll see what we got. We just changed 3 springs and some other things, so find out when I turn into turn 1 how good it is.
A big thing here that we've been dealing with the last couple of days here on Long Island has been rain. We had a bit of a rainstorm come through, watched if there was any rubber off, watched the rubber off the racetrack. Take us through that as a driver here at Riverhead Raceway. I know it's a very small track, quarter of a mile, but anytime the rubber isn't down there on the racetrack, what does that change for you as a driver?
It doesn't really change too much. I mean, the line seems a lot different here today. A lot of guys racing all below the yellow line, which I don't know how long NASCAR is going to put up with that. So we'll see what happens here. There's a ton of grip below the white line, so that's why everybody's down there. But I don't know. They didn't really say anything in practice about guys going down there, so I don't really know if it's a rule or not. But it should make it interesting tonight, you know. So I don't know. They spray the top groove here. They do some other stuff. They kind of manipulate the racetrack, makes it really tough to set your car up each week. But you know, those are the cards that you're dealt. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, we changed 3 springs, and only I'll know how it is going into turn 1. So we'll find out.
All right, a very confident Timmy Salamito. Very few adjustments made on that number 66. Keep an eye out for that Natural Design Company car here in time trials and later tonight.
Thank you, Raymond. And again, Raymond Rao on the prowl in the pit area, grabbing as many modified drivers as he can before they head out to qualify.
Well, with the Mike Ewanitsko Miller Lite 200 here this evening, we're honoring Mike's 11 wins here at Riverhead Raceway in the Whelen Modified Tour. But I'm here with the guy who's sitting on 10, looking to tie it tonight. Justin Bonson, you're in the number 51. You're sitting on 2 wins in a row here in the Modified Tour, dating back to last September. How was the confidence level after a couple rounds of practice?
Yeah, we're always confident when we come back to Riverhead. You know, been running really well here for a long time, especially with Ryan Stone's. Been on board since 2018. We've won a bunch of races here. So, yeah, good car again today in practice, trying some different things because, you know, Ronnie was going to beat us if there was no cautions late in that last race here in May. So, just working hard, as always, to keep evolving and trying to get things a little bit better. So, pretty confident tonight. Hopefully we can go out and put up a good qualifying run, put you in the top 2 or 3 rows, maybe get the pole, and just, you know, hopefully have a good car that drives well for 200 laps, just keep the tires on us. And it'd be nice. It would be an honor to meet Mike in victory lane, but that's a long way away still to even think about.
Well, you mentioned Ronnie Silk. You and him are right at the top of the point standing, separated by just 4 points. Here about getting partial way through the season. What is the confidence like going out through the rest of the year? Do you feel like you can lock down title number 4 in the Whelen Modified Tour?
Yeah, we always feel confident that we can do it. It's just going out and executing. You know, we kind of stumbled a little bit at Lee and lost some ground, and we had a good bounce back at Seekonk where we didn't start the race so well and had a good finish. So going to some good tracks here for us soon. We're coming out of this little bull ring stretch that we've been in, and it's been pretty good. You know, we could always be better, but I think everybody would say that about themselves. So yeah, hopefully we can have a good run here tonight. Hopefully, you know, contend for the win, put ourselves in good position, and you know, start start this summer off with a good bang, and hopefully, rack off a couple wins, hopefully, and some good finishes when you can't win.
All right, well, Justin Bonsignor, a former weekly competitor at Riverhead Raceway, has taken the Whelen Modified Tour by storm, looking for the record-tying number 11 win here at Riverhead Raceway in the Whelen Modified Tour. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Raymond. Again, another interview on Flow Racing by Raymond Rao with Justin Bonsignor. And this is a big deal for Bonsignor. He grew up a Mike Ewanitsko fan. When he was at win number 6, he said, my goal is to tie or beat Mike Ewanitsko at 11 wins. That was when he was at his 6th win here at Riverhead. He's now at 10, one shy of Mike Ewanitsko. And Mike Ewanitsko and Justin Bonsignor have a great relationship, and I am sure Michael would want nothing more than to see that M3 Technologies Phoenix Communications, number 51, in Victory Lane here tonight as we honor Mike Ewanitsko in the Miller Lite 200. Can't wait to see Mike, his family. We will be missing his dad, Louie, tonight. You want to have fun? You hang around Lou Ewanitsko, because that was fun. And his biggest thing was he always wanted to make sure you had enough to eat. Did you guys eat? Did you guys eat? Hey, did you guys eat yet? That was Louie. Just a great, great, great man. Family, the proprietors of Mutual Engraving in Hempstead. And just great people, great family, great race team, everything. I mean, there are so many people out here today that race because they watched Mike Ewanitsko. And, I mean, I think of a guy like John Denniston, whose champ car was painted exactly like Mike's modified. I had Mike's number 36 on my go-kart. The same way Michael had it painted, where it was one side of the car had a small number and the other side had a large number, and it didn't matter because he'd still whoop him, no matter what number was on the side of the car. And all those years, and did so many great things with Mike. We went, I helped him to get sponsors for the Craftsman Truck Series ride that he had with truck owner Joe Ambrose, Eddie Partridge, and Ricky Drzumbeck. And that was a fun time, fun group, and a very competitive truck. You know, we did a lot of good stuff with Mike Ewanitsko. And the thing was, you know, Mike never drove a truck before. Totally different than a modified. Goes to New Hampshire and he's running 7th or 8th, and we started to overheat. But he just, no matter what he got in. I mean, he used to run at Thompson in a late model. He used to run an SK at Thompson, Stafford, everywhere. I'd love to know how many wins he's amassed over the years. I mean, you're talking just between here and the tour. He had 11 wins here at Riverhead for a total of 28 wins on the tour. So he had 17 other wins, and he had 30 wins here at Riverhead. So 11 of them also tour wins. So Michael had, just between Riverhead and the tour, almost 40 wins. And, you know, he was winning races when we had 55 cars showing up to qualify for a modified tour show. Granted, he was in some of the best equipment. As I said earlier, he drove for Art Barry, Mario Fiore, Scott and Patty Banzel in the Sheba Racing number 8. I mean, Mike Ewanitsko drove some iconic race cars and drove them all to the front. As on Flow Racing, we show the cars that are staged for qualifying, which will be coming up here shortly, about 15, 20 minutes. There's Doug Kobe, 7NY, Tommy Baldwin Racing, 7NY with the tiger on it. You know, they didn't look that great in practice today, but Kobe ended up 7th out of the 23 cars that are here. So, not a terrible deal. Justin Bonsignor was quickest in practice in an 11.786. Tyler Ripkema, car number 32, was second at an 11.819. Third in car number 58, he's trying to catch his kid in trophies won at this place. Eric Goodale with 11.829. J.R. Bertuccio with a good run in car number 2, an 11.835. Austin Beers. Great to see Austin's dad, Eric, here with us today. Had a lot of fun with Eric Beers over the years. Just a wonderful, wonderful guy. And his son has turned out to be such a great kid, and it comes right from his father. I mean, Eric is such just one of the good guys out there. And I asked him, I said, do you have a hard time watching him race? He goes, oh yeah, it's tough sometimes. I said, it's tough because you could probably get in one of these cars and do as much damage as he's doing. And, you know, Eric Beers didn't run out of talent. So it just, you know, he stepped aside to let his son get in, and his son has done an excellent job. Austin Beers and that entire number 64 team. They today 5th quick, an 11.848. Ronnie Silk, 6th, an 11.864. Doug Kobe, 7th, an 11.866. Timmy Salamito, 8th, an 11.900. Jack Hanley Jr., 9th, an 11.907. And Roger Turbish round out the top 10 with an 11.911. And again, we will go from the slowest in practice to the fastest. That's how we determine the qualifying order. And it should be a dandy. See if I... With modified tour qualifying upon us shortly. Track record here at Riverhead Raceway, an 11.431. 11.431. Track record set by Justin Bonsignor on May 15th, 2021. 11.431 for Justin Bonsignor. That might be a tough one to beat today.
car isn't handling right, you got to muscle your way through it. Chevrolet pickup truck going to head for cover. Field rolls through turns 3 and 4. The green flag is out, and we're racing at Riverhead.
Justin Bonsignor to the inside. Ronnie Silk to the outside. Silk 0 for 23 here in Modified Tour competition, trying to nail down his first win here this afternoon. But Bonsignor in car number 51 will come to the early race lead.
Bonsignor out in front. The battle now for third. Dylan Slepian working now the inside of Austin Beers. Caution flag is out. Doug Kobe, 2 laps down, released off the back straightaway. 2 cars into it. It is 26 of Gary McDonald and the Turbush number 81 for Chris Turbush off turn 2. Green flag is out and quick firing on the bottom. Justin Bonsignor able to get away from Ronnie Silk. Here comes Dylan Slepian trying to sneak the nose in underneath.
A much better start that time by for Justin Bonsignor. Silk settles into second. The battle is for third. To the inside, Dylan Slepian. To the outside is Austin Beers. He'll just ride here for a bit as Ronnie Silk puts more pressure on Justin Bonsignor as he tries to cross him up. He's into the back bumper and underneath him as they head to turn number 3.
His best position now to the inside of turn 3. Silk working the bottom lane of the racetrack as Bonsignor tries to pinch off the corner, getting into turn 1 and 2, but Silk able to keep the bumper alongside, now sticks the nose out ahead and takes over the race lead here, now 28 laps in.
Justin Bonsignor tries to cross him over, looks to the inside, but Silk able to hold that spot, and he heads down the back straightaway.
The race leaders in heavy lap traffic. We've got 1 car around in turn 2. Roger Turbush is spun, and the caution flag comes out on lap number 34. So Turbush goes around. Green flag is out.
Lap number 40. Green flag out once again.
Trouble on the front straightaway. Dave Zapienza bounces off the front stretch wall, and the caution flag is back out. He guides it into turns 1 and 2 where he comes to stop up against the outside concrete. But, boy, he came down on the start along the straightaway. Zapienza got into the outside wall. He bounced along the front straightaway concrete, tried to slow down before he hit the wall in turn 1, and then gently grazed it between turns 1 and 2.
46 laps down here in the Buzz Chu Chevrolet Cadillac 200. Ronnie Silk and Justin Bonsignor lead him out of the East-West Management Go Zone into turn number 1. Contact. Salamito into the back of the 51, who in turn hit the back of the 16. But it opened the door for Timmy Salamito.
Salamito fighting down there on the inside lane, but Justin Bonsignor will close that door in turns 1 and 2. Salamito now looks to his right elbow. He's got the 79 of John McKennedy working the top lane once again.
And it's early for him to make a march like this, but, Ed Braunhutzel III in the fence in turn number 4.
Yeah, off turn 4. Caution flag is out here for the 4th time today. So Brunholzel hard to the right side. You see the window net is down, but the right front damaged badly as he caught the outside concrete there in the restart zone for Eddie Brunholzel. And green flag about set to come out, and we're back underway with Ronnie Silk in command.
Silk leads him out of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway. Bonsignor settles in for the second spot. Slepian back on the outside of McKennedy for third.
Slepian trying to pick up for some lost ground. It slid back outside the top 5. Now digging up in the high lane of the racetrack. Going wheel to wheel with John McKennedy into turn 3. Now a little bit of bumper tag, and that will result in Jack Hanley going around in turn 3, and the caution flag comes back out. That all started with Kyle Soper got into the back of John McKennedy, and then everybody bumper tagged it accordion back. Hanley going around in turn 3, and the caution flag comes back out. That all started with Kyle Soper got into the back of John McKennedy, and then everybody bumper tagged it accordion backdoor now. Settles in the line behind, and now McKennedy. The roles are reversed. The 79 of John McKennedy to the outside of Dylan Slepian. We'll see if he can do what Slepian did on the last restart. That 100 lap mark, and it is time to start going. If you're back in that 6th, 7th position, you know you want to fight for the race lead. You got to work your way inside the top 3. Caution is out.
Caution flag down. Patrick Emmerling, car number 07. Some contact from the 22 of Kyle Bonsignor.
He and Tyler Ripkema live in that part of western New York, and a lot of the racetracks are big. You know, they're not tiny little bull rings. quarter-mile tracks like we have here at Riverhead. And when you're used to running big racetracks, you get into a small bull ring like this, it takes some effort to get used to it.
Green flag out once again. Here comes Sleppy into the inside of Bonsignor.
Trying to make the move work. That'll allow John McKennedy to sail it deep to the outside in turns 3 and 4. Can't do it. Sleppy in sideways in the bottom. Here comes Kyle Soper now to work to the bottom of McKennedy. Contact ahead of them. Jack Hanley into the left rear tire. And they're spinning in front of the race leader. Silk finally able to go to the outside. And he's able to narrowly avoid disaster. The two in front of him. Hanley got together with Jake Johnson, and they nearly collided in front of the race leader.
But it allows the 51 of Bonsignor and the 10 of Slepian to climb right to the back bumper. Caution flag down for car number 18, Kenny Hagee.
Ken Hagee stopped off turn number 2, 149 laps to go in the Buzz Shoe Chevrolet Cadillac 200 for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. And how about that action? All right, here we go. Chevrolet pace truck going to go ahead and head in. Green flag is out. Slepian steps the nose to the inside lane, but it's Justin Bonsignor to the top lane of the racetrack, putting a bid for the race lead against Ronnie Silk as we go back under the green flag and into turn 3.
And Silk knows here, if he can't take this lead back, which he does, it's going to be hard to get by Bonsignor.
Here's Slepian now digging to the inside lane with John McKennedy working up top. McKennedy has loved the top side all day long. Now is the time to use it if you're going to find any extra speed in the outside lane. Back a bit. Contact between Austin Beers and Dylan Slepian. Beers goes sideways. Slepian holds on to the spot, and Anthony Osella now challenges to the outside.
That all started with the 92 bouncing the 64. Then the 64 got angry and sent it in a ton. Was able to get by Slepian, and here comes Nosella with him.
We'll see if Slepian returns the favor. Beers is going to try to get away from him. Lap traffic, there's a contact. Slepian sent it deep down into turn 4. Didn't hit him hard enough, though, as now Nosella hard on the binders. He goes up the racetrack. He'll lose 3 spots in turn 1. Side-by-side lap cars directly in front of Ronnie Silk. Oh, trouble. Nosella goes around off turn 4. Caution is out. No contact into the outside wall for Nosella. Barely missed it. Caution is out. 186 laps in of 200. Pace truck is in. We'll turn him loose. Green flag is out. Silk and Bonsignor headed for 1.
Good restart for Bonsignor. Silk slides through 1 and 2. As they head down the back straightaway, Justin Bonsignor to the race lead.
Bonsignor ever so slightly puts the 51 out in front to the outside lane, and Justin Bonsignor with 7 laps to go takes over the top spot. Beers shuffled out of the outside lane trying to challenge for Ronnie Silk.
Bonsignor has better drive off at this point, but here comes Silk to the inside.
They get together off turn 2. Silk muscling his way to the inside lane. Contact again in turn 4. The two beating and banging on each other, but Bonsignor holds on.
Here comes Silk again with a bottom shot out of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway.
Bonsignor slid it sideways, straight even across. The two together again, both together as they come across the line, but the caution flag is out. 5, 6 cars into the outside wall in turn 3. 3 laps to go when the caution flag came out. Unbelievable racing between two champions, Ron Silk and Justin Bonsignor, beating and banging on each other on both ends of the racetrack. Strap in, Bonsignor on the bottom. Ronnie Silk to the outside of the 16 has dominated the race so far today. Green flag is out. Silk spins the tires, and Justin Bonsignor gets by to the inside. Bonsignor away and free with the lead. Here comes McKennedy to the bottom.
John McKennedy, car number 79 to the inside, but to the outside of McKennedy, here comes Austin Beers as they come to the white flag.
White flag is out this time for Justin Bonsignor. Silk is there. He gets into the back bumper off turn 2. Down the back straightaway. Bonsignor into turn number 3. Checkered flag is waving. They spin behind, and Justin Bonsignor is now a 10-time winner at Riverhead Raceway.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
I like to follow you. Stop number 7 on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, lands here at Riverhead Raceway for the Miller Lite 200, where we salute Mike Ewanitsko, a 28-time winner on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Qualifying about to begin.
So qualifying for tonight's Miller Lite Salutes 200 for Mike Ewanitsko, who will be in the house here tonight, underway as we get ready to rock and roll. We had practice earlier today, and that was led by Justin Bonsignor in the 51, which is interesting because you mentioned that Ewanitsko, an 11-time winner here at this track in the Whelen Modified Tour, holds the record in Whelen Modified Tour competition. Justin Bonsignor will try to tie that here tonight. First, Melissa Fifield on track for her qualifying attempt.
Fifield in the Pine Knoll Auto Sales, number 01, lap number 1, 12.778. 12.778, lap number 1 for Melissa Fifield. Lap number 2, she picks it up to a 12.451. 12.451, lap number 2 for Melissa Fifield.
Riverhead Raceway will host the Whelen Modified Tour 3 times this season. This is the second of those 3 races. The first 2 200-lap events. The next one that we run here in September will feature live pitting, 256 laps, and a bit of a different strategy. So every one of the races are a bit unique, and you've got the local drivers that come into the mix as well, including the driver of car number 49.
Here tonight, he's got one feature event win to his credit in 2023. That, of course, is Calverton's Chris Young. Young, a 12.134. 12.134 in the CPC Pharmacal. Number 49, lap number 2 for Chris Young, a 12.034. 12.034, lap number 2 for Chris Young.
It's one of the best parts about when the Whelen Modified Tour comes to this racetrack because of the weekly Tour Modifieds that are run here, the weekly talent that come in here and mix it up and run well with the regulars on the Whelen Modified Tour. And that is not easy at most racetracks. But the drivers that race here weekly at Riverhead, they can test, and they can test for top 5s, podiums, and even wins.
All they got to learn to do is go 200. They're normally good for 150, but we've had some excellent finishes for the locals. Kyle Soper even won one last year. Lap number 1 here in the Cromer's Market, number 81. It's Mark Stewart. Stewart, out of Riverhead, his first NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour start. Lap number 2, top of the board, 11.995 for the Mike Smith. Cromer's Market, number 81 of Mark Stewart.
And the first car to go into that 11-second bracket. Next up on track is going to be car number 3. This is Brian Narducci. Narducci makes his second career Whelen Modified Tour start. And this car had crashed in practice earlier today, caught the gate with the right rear tire getting into turn 3. It put the right front into the wall. They spent much of the afternoon trying to get this car repaired and turned around to be able to go qualifying here as he takes the green flag.
Narducci in the Florida Connection, number 3, Old Blue on the raceway. Lap number 1, 12.408. 12.408. First time Brian Narducci has seen Riverhead Raceway in a modified. Lap number 2, 12.135. 12.135. Good pickup for Narducci, but he currently sits in the 3rd spot out of 4 cars.
His prior start came at Richmond Raceway earlier this season, impressed many with a strong, solid run that day, but it looks like he's going to start pretty deep in the field here today as he makes his first race at Riverhead Raceway. Driver that's not making his first race here today, Dave Zapienza in the number 36 car. Zapienza and the Zapienza Enterprises Eastport Feeds entry, no stranger to this racetrack. He's ready to get after it here this afternoon.
Dave Sapienza, lap number 1, 12.226. 12.226. Lap number 1 for Sapienza. The Eastport Feeds number 36 on lap number 2. He picks it up to a 12.087. 12.087. Second and faster lap for Dave Sapienza.
That'll put him in the 3rd spot overall. So 5 cars that have taken time so far. And that'll bring out Max Zackham, who over the past couple of races has been running this car in place of Gary McDonald. Gary is spending a tremendous amount of time focusing on his business, and that's created the opportunity for Max to run this race car. Now, Max will tell you, he has not had the results that he had hoped for in this number 26, backed by Lakeland Avenue Landscape Supply. But he said, you know what, these Meade chassis are cars that I'm used to running. And we found a couple of things that we think we'll be able to get a little bit more speed out of it for this race.
Lap number 1 for Max Zackham, 12.164. 12.164. He's a one-time feature event winner here at Riverhead Raceway. Lap number 2, he picks it up to 3rd quick, a 12.048. 12.048 for Max Zackham.
Yeah, Max spent a lot of time in his racing career running at the Waterford Speed Bowl just on the other side of the island, Long Island Sound in Connecticut. And he said, you know what, this racetrack really reminds me a lot of the time when I ran in Legends and Modifieds out there. I really enjoy running here. He put it 3rd on the scoring pylon. Up next, the Fortin family. This is J.B. Fortin, who's having a great season so far, 6th in points. But today was a bit rocky for them, Steve. This is a brand new race car. They had electrical problems and struggled throughout the day.
I'm sure we'll see J.B. here towards the end of this event as lap number 1, 12.120. 12.120. Always a consistent runner here at the Riverhead Raceway. Lap number 2 for J.B. Fortin. He goes to the top of the board, an 11.952. 11.952 fast time thus far for J.B. Fortin.
That'll bring out Ken Hagee in the number 18 car. Buoy One Seafood just on down the road. the backers here of this 18 machine. Ken's having a really solid year, 16th in points, with 16th the race at Seekonk, and has quite a few starts. One of the more experienced veterans here at this racetrack, not only in local competition, weekly competition, but also on the Modified Tour.
And Hagee actually lives 1 mile right down the road on the same side of the raceway. Lap number 1, 12.284. 12.284, lap number 1 for Ken Hagee. Lap number 2, he picks it up to a 12.097. 12.097 for the Bowie 1 Seafood number 18 of Ken Hagee.
That'll put him 6th overall. So J.B. Fortin leading the way. Mark Stewart in his debut in the Whelen Modified Tour, currently 2nd. Chris Young, Max Ackham, Dave Zapienza. That is your top 5. Here comes J.R. Bertuccio. When we raced here in May with the Whelen Modified Tour, he actually had a crash in the pit area. Never made the race. He's gotten a lot further here today as he goes to qualify.
Yeah, and he was decent in practice as well. So we'll see what Bertuccio can give us in the Gershow Recycling. North Fork Sanitation number 2. A little loose there. Lap number 1, 12.325.
Unfortunately, that's going to really cost him here for this lap, too, because as he came across the line, he was pedaling that thing just to try to keep it straight. Nearly loses it again this time off turn 4, and that'll only be good enough for 8th for J.R. Bertuccio, so not the qualifying effort he hoped for, a 12.237, but you can hear it and you can see it, Steve, how loose that car was coming to the white flag off turn 4.
Yeah, real loose. I'm surprised.
Here's Matt Hirschman, hottest driver on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. 2 consecutive victories coming into today's race. That came at the Lee USA Speedway in New Hampshire and the Seekonk Speedway in Massachusetts just 2 weeks ago as he comes on track in the 60 car. This is the Baker-owned 60, not the PD Motorsports car that he picked those 2 wins up recently.
Alan Deering and Elite Towing, the owners of car number 60, along with Darrell Baker. From Matt Hirschman, lap number 1, 12.096. 12.096. Good enough for 6th quick on his first lap. Lap number 2, 3rd quick, 12.006. 12.006. Lap number 2 for Matt Hirschman.
Hirschman will make his way back to the garage area, still working our way through qualifying. A little less than halfway through here for the Mayhew Tools pole qualifying session. That'll bring up Jack Hanley Jr., another one of the regular weekly drivers here at Riverhead.
Hanley with a feature event win to his credit in 2023. Won a few weeks ago in a battle with Matthew Brody. He was able to take down his first win of the season. A consistently fast race car here for Jack Hanley Jr. Lap number 1, 8th quick at a 12.128. 12.128. Lap number 1 for Jack Hanley Jr. Lap number 2. He goes to the pole, 11.909, 11.909, lap number 2 for the Hydro Action number 45 of Jack Hanley Jr.
Nice job out of the 45 team for Jack Hanley Jr., 11.909, put him in the number 1 spot here at the moment, but you got to look back at the difference here for this race car. They've got a brand new tire combination on these cars from what we had here for the May race. And so there's a lot of drivers, not only the weekly local drivers, but also the Touring Series drivers that are really having to figure this out here. It's a harder right rear tire compound. And Kyle Bonsignor, he's hoping that that compound doesn't deter him from what is now a 4 consecutive top 10 finish streak that he's got going on the tour.
Kyle Bonsignor, one of the hottest cars on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour currently. Looking to put down a good lap here. Lap number 2. 2nd quick, 11.952. 11.952. 2nd quick here today for Kyle Bonsignor.
Nice solid lap for Kyle Bonsignor. Just off the pole. That'll bring up the 5 car, John Beatty Jr. The MSM Elite Motorsports Inc. sponsored entry.
Beatty seeking his first win, one of the epic battles with Justin Bonsignor a couple of years back here at Riverhead Raceway as they came across the start-finish line backwards. Lap number 1 for John Beatty Jr. 10th quick, a 12.114. 12.114. in the MSM Elite Motorsports, number 5, lap number 2. Fourth quick for Beatty, an 11.964, 11.964 for John Beatty Jr.
Here comes car number 46, Justin Brown. Goody Racing entry, Riverhead Building Supply, the backers here, and Justin Brown, who has only run the family car a couple of times this season here at Riverhead as he's focused his efforts on the Whelen Modified Tour. But he said today that this race car has got our traditional family setup that we normally run in our car, and that put him in the top 10 in practice today. And he's hoping that he can translate that into a strong run as he comes to the white flag to complete lap 1, and it's good enough for 11th, a 12.130 for Justin Brown.
Justin Brown has been quick all year long here at Riverhead Raceway in his 3 attempts. Lap number 2 moves up to 9th quick, a 12.054, 12.054, 9th quick for Justin Brown.
The other Riverhead Building Supply machine on track, Eric Goodale, who local driver, but also got his first Whelen Modified Tour victory in 2014 here at his home track, and that set off a series of victories in his career that has become one of the best drivers on tour, especially here in Riverhead.
Goodale coming off a win in the Open 80. Said his team was phenomenal that day. Lap number 1, 12th quick for Goodale, 12.127. 12.127. Lap number 1 for Eric Goodale. He'll look to pick it up here on lap number 2. He goes to 9th at 12.052. 12.052 for Eric Goodale.
Now, I'm probably going to jinx it when I say this, but typically in qualifying, the cars that go out toward the end of the session are faster for a couple of reasons. One, you've got rubber on the racetrack that are consistent with these tires, but you also have the faster cars in practice that go out later. But we have seen 2 top 10 cars qualify 9th and 10th of the 16 cars that have gone so far. They're not making that top 5 scoreboard move held by Jack Hanley Jr. I'm curious to see, with 8 cars to go and Craig Lutz on track, if that trend continues.
And Lutz from Long Island, but started his modified racing career at the Waterford Speedball. Didn't really run here at Riverhead Raceway. His dad, a former Charger champion. Lap number 1 for Craig Lutz, 14th quick, 12.127. Lap number 2 up to 7th quick, a 12.011. 12.011. As you said, Joe, this is a little confusing right now. I thought these guys would be going to the top.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. You know, you see these different drivers that are toward the front, Jack Hanley Jr., Kyle Bonsignor, J.B. Fortin, John Beatty Jr., Mark Stewart. Not usually the names that we talk about in the top 5 in qualifying with only 7 cars left. We'll see if that stays or if it changes. The 88 on track now, Roger Turbush.
Roger Turbush in the Ream Air Conditioning Cromer's Market, number 88. Lap number 1 for Turbush. 15th quick, 12.168. 12.168. Lap number 1 for Roger Turbush. Lap number 2 picks it up to 8th quick, a 12.018. 12.018. Lap number 2 for Roger Turbush.
Here's a guy that can make the scoreboard move, and already how quickly he comes out of the pit area. Aggressive. The 66, Timmy Solomito, finished 11th here in May, but is a 3-time Riverhead Raceway winner in the Whelen Modified Tour. Green flag is out, and you could already see Solomito is getting after it.
Yeah, he said today in the pits, needed to be aggressive in qualifying. Needs to start up front. Let's see what he can do here on lap number 1 for Timmy Solomito. 13th quick, 12.085. 12.085, one of the faster first laps we've had here today. Lap number 2 for Solomito. He'll go to 4th, an 11.957. 11.957, 4th quick for the natural, Timmy Solomito.
And Jack Hanley Jr. and that team back there in the pit area just waiting it out. Pins and needles to see whether or not he can win the pole for tonight's race. The Miller Lite salutes Mike Ewanitsko 200, but Ronnie Silk, who led 164 laps here a month ago, but could not seal the deal, is on track for his qualifying effort. The former champion and current point leader.
Asked Phil Moran, what can you do here today? He He said, I just need one more spot. As they were second last time, Ronnie Silk 7th on lap number 1 with a 12.003. 12.003. Lap number 1 for Ronnie Silk. Lap number 2, P1, an 11.907. 11.907 to the top of the board for Ronnie Silk.
Well, Silk had a very quick opening lap, and that had something to do with it. Here's a guy who did not have a good lap the last time we came here, and he started the race 2 laps down. Doug Kobe never had an opportunity to show what he had. We'll see what he can do here today. The car up to full speed, unlike his qualifying attempt from May, where they put the wrong gear in the race car. And Doug Kobe trying to get back on top of his game here at this racetrack. A 3-time winner here at Riverhead in his own right, and a multi-time NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion.
Lap number 1 for Doug Kobe, 15th quick at 12.054. 12.054. Lap number 1 for Doug Kobe. Lap number 2, third quick, 11.926. 11.926. Third quick for the Mayhew Tools 7NY of Doug Kobe.
To give you some context, Ronnie Silk was a 12.003 on lap 1. Kobe was not. He was in the 50s, and that's where that difference was on lap 2. Now, Austin Beers on track. Top 5 in points, having a great season. And the Mike Murphy owned number 64. See what he can do. Richmond winner for his first career victory earlier this season. Keep an eye on the first lap time. Beers a bit wide off turn 4. Lap number 1, slower than Kobe at 12.059.
Let's see what he can do here on lap number 2. Austin Beers had a good run here the last time the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour was in town. To the top of the board, an 11.872. 11.872. That first one must have been a throwaway lap.
Pretty solid lap there for Austin Beers. Now here comes Tyler Ripkema. Ripkema second in practice, and he's got the help of Jan Leedy and Mike Leedy, who tuned Patrick Emmerling to many successful runs here, including a victory in 2021. But Ripkema, wanting to get some momentum rolling, was 4th here in May. Can he do better, and can he start on the pole position here this evening?
Tyler Ripkema comes to the white flag, lap number 1, a 12.047. 12.047. 14th quick, lap number 1 for Tyler Ripkema. Lap number 2. Nice job. Third quick, 11.908. 11.908 for Tyler Ripkema.
One car left to go, and it is a 3-time Whelen Modified Tour champion and a 10-time Riverhead Raceway winner, and he's going to be going after Mike Ewanitsko tonight in that record to tie the 11 victories that Ewanitsko has, and he'll be on property tonight. You can watch it on NASCAR Roots, where Justin Bonsignor commented on what it would mean for him to win with Mike here and be able to tie that record. But right now the focus is on the Mayhew Tools Pole Award, where Justin started in the May race. Lap 1, he's 16th, a 12.050, a bit slower than the opening lap for Austin Beers.
Can he pull it off here? Lap number 2, 6th quick, 11.945. 11.945 for Justin Bonsignor.
So Austin Beers has won his second Mayhew Tools Pole Award of the season. The last time he did that, he went to Victory Lane, and that was at the Richmond Raceway in Virginia. Qualifying complete. Here's a look at the starting lineup in the qualifying order for tonight's event. Austin Beers will start from the pole position. Ronnie Silk will start second. Tyler Ripkema backed up a strong practice effort to roll off third. How about it for Jack Hanley Jr.? Continues to show his speed. He's 4th, Doug Kobe 5th, Justin Bonsignor is 6th, Kyle Bonsignor, his cousin, will start 7th, JB 4 and 8th, 9th for Timmy Solomito, John Beatty Jr. will be 10th. Outside the top 10, 11th for Mark Stewart in his debut. Big money, Matt Hirschman will start 12th, Craig Lutz 13th, 14th for Roger Turbush, 15th is Chris Young. Then you go back outside, Max Zackham is 16th, Eric Goodale deep in the qualifying order, 17th. It'll be fun to watch that 58 car roll through the field tonight. 18th, Justin Brown, Dave Zapienza, Ken Hagee. Wrapping up the top 20, it'll be 21st, Brian Narducci, J.R. Bertuccio, and Melissa Fifield. The starting lineup for tonight's Miller Lite salutes Mike Ewanitsko, 200 here at Riverhead. And Steve, tonight we've got the traditional Whelen Modified Tour autograph session that'll be taking place over there behind turns 3 and 4. Mike Ewanitsko will be here. He'll be there for that. You can catch up with them at 7 o'clock tonight and hear from all the drivers, get their thoughts, their insights as they get ready to go racing for 200 laps here tonight.
And it's great for a lot of these drivers. They know exactly who Mike Ewanitsko is. And for as we said during qualifying, for someone like Justin Bonsignor, with an opportunity to possibly tie him tonight with Mike on the property,
today, the opportunity he has to do it at his home track and to be able to do it with friends and family here and Mike on the property.
And I remember when Justin started racing here in a full-blown modified, he ran a Charger car, then he ran a modified here, and when he ran a modified here, he used to talk to Mike Ewanitsko in the pits, and Mike used to try and help him out and just try and guide him a little bit, and it's so great to see where Justin, Ken Massa, that entire team, where they are today. And Mike Ewanitsko is going to be able to watch them here tonight, and that's for both of them. It's just a great opportunity to do something pretty big.
So join us about 40 minutes from now. The NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour autograph session. Plenty of things happening here at the racetrack with all the local divisions as well. It's great to have you tonight here at Riverhead. It's going to be a great night of action at this racetrack, and no better way to spend a Saturday night than right here at the racetrack, and we thank you for it. So stay with us. More local action coming up. Whelen Modified Tour, 7 o'clock autograph session behind turns 3 and 4. Well, race fans, we are getting ready for tonight's Miller Lite Salutes Mike Ewanitsko 200 for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, the 7th race of the 2023 season. And boy, it has been a good one here this year. The field will start making their way up onto the racing surface and pause here along the front stretch for our driver introductions and the start of festivities here today. My name is Joe Koss, and Stephen Halpin will be on the call here tonight. Right now he's trackside getting ready to go with all of our pre-race festivities. But what a season it has been in the 2023 year for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. We've seen a variety of storylines come to play. with some of the tightest championship point battle that really comes through this racetrack, with 3 races scheduled on the series for this year. It all comes through Riverhead Raceway, and you throw in the mix of the local favorites that you watch each and every week, who have a great opportunity at running well and have a great opportunity of getting a win like Kyle Soper did here 1 year ago. Jack Hanley Jr. got a good qualifying effort here today. He will lead the local drivers 4th overall in qualifying, and he is right in the middle of several champions in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Some of the storylines coming into this one, you've got Austin Beers, the young driver who is really coming into his own this year. He's on the pole for tonight's race in car number 64, his 2nd career pole. He won the race earlier this year at the Richmond Raceway for his 1st career victory, and he started on the pole that day too, and so he is hoping to duplicate the success that he had earlier in the month of March. You go to that 2nd row, the 16 car, Ron Silk, a former champion of the series, won the championship back in 2011. He's a current championship point leader. Started things off down at New Smyrna Speedway in Florida in February during Speed Weeks, an event that runs in parallel with events that lead up to the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. Ronnie Silk took home a very special 1948 Cup. Of course, 1948, the first year that NASCAR was born, now in its 75th anniversary. It started when they raced these types of race cars. They raced modifieds on the sands of the beach of Daytona. That's where NASCAR was born. Modified racing, 75 years strong. And so to commemorate that victory, the 4th generation of the NASCAR family and Ben Kennedy handed the 1948 Cup to Ronnie Silk as the winner and the first winner of the 2023 NASCAR season, and done in modified style. And so he leads the championship point lead off of the effort and the strength from that victory and the momentum that he has carried throughout the year. Tyler Ripkema has been a great story. He'll start 3rd here tonight in car number 32. He came here in May at a racetrack he had never seen before, finished 4th, and backed it up with a strong qualifying effort here today in 3rd. So keep an eye on Tyler Ripkema, another driver in the 32 from New York, but from upstate New York, not Long Island here, like many of the drivers in the field today are representing Riverhead and the surrounding area in town. Some of the other things to keep an eye on today, now we've got the Mike Ewanitsko event this evening. Mike Ewanitsko with 11 victories is a track record here at this racetrack. He is here on property with us today as part of the celebration with all his family, as part of this salute to his outstanding career. Well, Justin Bonsignore, that number 51 car, has been outstanding in his own right. And he has 10 victories, including the last time that we were at this racetrack just a month or so ago. Justin Bonsignore today will make the attempt to try to tie that record. Mike Ewanitsko said earlier today, he said, you know, I'd be happy to have Justin tie that record here today. But as a kid, Justin was chasing autographs from drivers like Mike Ewanitsko. So the story comes full circle today. The question is whether or not driver of number 51 at his home track, Justin Bonsignore, can capture the victory here today at Riverhead. If you've been following the action throughout the season in Whelen Modified Tour competition, it's very difficult to look past the 60 car of Matt Hirschman. And that's that red and yellow 60 that's rolling onto the front stretch now. Matt Hirschman has won the last 2 consecutive races on the tour. It started off at an outstanding run at Lee USA Speedway in New Hampshire on Memorial Day weekend. Last race, he won at Seekonk Speedway. He had lapped just about the entire field deep into the top 5, had a dominating performance, and he has led all but 2 laps over the past 2 races. They call him Big Money Matt because Matt Hirschman is a guy that knows how to strike when the purse is high, when it's all on the line, and he's having another outstanding season just like he did a year ago, and he's been running just about all the races on the tour this year. If it wasn't for a weather delay, he would have competed in all the races so far in 2023. So Matt Hirschman in a different car here, though, today. He usually runs his PD Motorsports entry, and that's the car, the black car that you might be familiar with. But today, it's the familiar Elite Towing Baker Racing entry that he ran in the Islip 300 race last fall, and he has returned with that team here again for today. The 58 car, Eric Goodale, another one of the local favorites. He won his first career race here in 2014, and he's going to be a story to watch here today because Eric Goodale did not have a very good qualifying effort. He qualified deep in the field. He'll start 17th today, but he knows how to get around this racetrack as one of the hometown drivers that has spent a lot of time on the tour for sure, but certainly cut his teeth at this racetrack. So that 58 car is going to be somebody to keep an eye on as well. Few more of the cars continue to park. Brian Narducci in the 3 car, Old Blue, one of the most famous cars in modified competition. Legacy car in the series. It's his 2nd career start. Narducci races with cerebral palsy, but it does not slow him down at all. He's a former NASCAR National Series champion in Division 3 for his work in modified competition. Plenty of on-track activity here today. The pre-race ceremony is about set to get underway. Let's send it down trackside to the voice of Riverhead Raceway, Stephen Halpin.
Thank you very much, Joe Koss. Thank you to everyone for coming out here tonight in such auspicious weather. While we have a moment, we'd just like to send out a big get well soon. He's supposed to be doing great. Dick Brooks, Brooksy from the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Big round of applause for Brooksy. We hope he's doing all right. And last year, John Elwood approached me and said, unfortunately, we do a lot of races to honor people that we've lost. He said, it'd be real nice to do a race to honor someone that could be here for it, so we could show them how much we appreciate what they've done for racing, what they've done for Riverhead, what they've done for all of us. Tonight, we honor a 28-time winner on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. That's 8th all-time. 11 of those wins were right here at Riverhead Raceway, including his first career Whelen Modified Tour victory. Tonight we honor Mike Ewanitsko. He won 19 times here in a regular Saturday night feature event, and I remember when the potato chip wagon used to roll down the driveway here. All the practice was over. You guys would roll that thing off the trailer, blow the dust off it, and come out here and win your heat race and then go out and win the feature. It was incredible to watch. As a kid, I got to sit here before I announced, and I got to stand here and watch you do your thing. And then the most incredible thing I ever saw was when we showed up at Thompson and you whooped him there. And I was like, wait a minute, that's the guy from Riverhead. He's out there beating him at Thompson? I mean, to watch you do what you do, Michael, was so much fun. The way your family, your dad, the way everybody handled this thing was great. You started racing. Back then, you were 15, 16 years old racing. That's commonplace now. It was not commonplace back then. And you did some things in that car for Ira Bromley, Lou Hennessy, and it was incredible to watch even back then. But I'll tell you what, there's guys in this field right now that are here because of what you've done. Kids from Long Island that had go-karts painted like yours so they could be like you. They wanted to be like Mike. We could do that, right? But I'll tell you what, we have a second to talk. I know you're excited about this, and you say you don't deserve it, but you really have done so much you don't even realize.
Yeah, first when I heard about it, that's the first thing I said to myself. I don't deserve this. You know, one thing that eluded us here at Riverhead was a championship. One thing that eluded me on the tour was a championship. But the tour wins, I mean, nobody can say what they mean to you. They're amazing, and tonight I got a little guy that I used to, sign an autograph for after one of those wins. He's ready to tie my record tonight. So it's definitely surreal.
And it's for Justin Bonsignor, Ken Massa, it's a big deal for those guys because they've watched you. And Justin, I remember Justin in the go-kart, I used to chase you around the pit area.
Yeah, all I remember is after the go-kart race when the kids were done, I'd say, did Bonsignor win again? Yep, he won again. And he's doing the same thing at the tour level now. So you got a lot of great guys. Doug Covey, Ronnie Silk, some of our guys from home, J.B. Fortin. I just, you could go on and on with guys that are going to have a chance to win tonight. But I think I'll be excited watching Justin to see if it actually does come to fruition tonight.
And we've said you've had the opportunity to run for some amazing car owners. in Mario Fiore, Art Barry, Joe Brady, Sheba Racing, all these cars, they're all frontline cars. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens because of your talent and the person that you are.
I've always said anybody that I have driven for, basically being on the younger side, growing up, I watched my idols drive those cars. And to be able to drive them later on, it was an honor. Like you say, who can, you know, I'm driving in a car that an idol of mine drives, and it all started with our family car with my dad. You know, my mother used to yell at him because he threw me in a go-kart when I was 4 years old, and you started this, you know, but it's all a family thing, just like this sport is. It's a family sport.
All right, pal, your family's here. We're great to have them here. We're so glad that you're here tonight to do this with us, and congratulations on being honored. You truly deserve it.
I thank you very much, and thank you guys all very much. It was great when I used to race here. One big happy family.
All right, folks, let him hear it. Mike Ewanitsko. Now we are about to go upstairs to Joe Koss for the Miller Lite 200, where we honor Mike Ewanitsko and the starting lineup. Joe?
All right, race fans, turn your attention to the far left of the exit of Turn 4, where we will introduce to you the starting lineup for tonight's Miller Lite 200 in honor, saluting Mike Ewanitsko. Starting 23rd from Wakefield, New Hampshire, the Pine Knoll Auto Sales 01, Melissa Fifield. Rolling in row number 11. In car number 2 from Center Reach, New York, the Gershow Recycling Modified, car number 2 for J.R. Bertuccio. He'll start 21st, making his first start here at Riverhead and second overall career start on the Modified Tour. The Propane Plus Lynn's Propane Trucks, number 3, a former NASCAR national champion in Division 3, Brian Narducci. Starting 20th, living just about a mile from here, the Bowie One Seafood and Restaurant, number 18, the local driver, Ken Hagee. Starting 19th from Riverhead, the Sapienza Enterprises Eastport Feeds, number 36, Dave Sapienza. The next driver knows this racetrack well. From Manorville, New York, the Riverhead Building Supply, number 46, starting 18th, Justin Brown. Starting 17th is a driver who scored his first career Whelen Modified Tour victory at this racetrack in 2014. He drives the GAF Roofing, Riverhead Building Supply, number 58, Eric Goodale. Starting 16th, a driver from Preston, Connecticut, the Lakeland Landscape TRC Electric Machine, car number 26. Tonight, it's driven by Max Zackham. Starting 15th from Calverton, New York, the S.J. Horning Construction, number 49, Chris Young. Rolling on the outside of row number 7, the Ream, number 88, for Roger Turbush. Rolling from the 13th position from Miller Place, New York, the Danny's Cesspool Service, number 82, Craig Lutz. Rolling from 12th from Northampton, Pennsylvania, 2 consecutive victories on the tour. They call him Big Money. He drives the Elite Towing Baker Racing, number 60, Matt Hirschman. Starting 11th is a driver making his Whelen Modified Tour debut here tonight. The Mike Smith Cromer's Market, number 81, Mark Stewart. Race fans, it's time to meet the top 10. Starting 10th from Merrick, New York, the MSM Elite Motorsports Incorporated, number 5, second place finish a few years ago, John Beatty Jr. Starting ninth, car number 66. He is a three-time winner here at this racetrack in Modified Tour competition. The Natural Designs USNE Power Kennedy Realty car, Timmy Salamito. Rolling from the 8th position, driving the Chalou Performance MTT Munz Auto number 22. He's on a streak of 4 consecutive top 10 finishes from Bayshore, New York, Kyle Bonsignor. The next driver has had an outstanding season so far. Starting 7th from Holtsville, New York, the A&R Materials John Fuel Oil Rapid Recovery Modified, J.B. Fortin. Starting 6th is the driver who will try to tie Mike Ewanitsko's track win record here at Riverhead. From Holtsville, New York, the Phoenix Communications Incorporated, number 51, Justin Bonsignor. Starting 5th, the Mayhew Tools 7 New York from Milford, Connecticut. He's a 3-time Riverhead Raceway winner and a multi-time Whelen Modified Tour champion, Doug Kobe. Starting 4th with an outstanding qualifying effort today, Jack Hanley Jr. from Medford, New York, in car number 45, driver of the Hydro Action, Suffolk Precast Modified. Starting 3rd from Owego, New York, Northeast Drilling, Musco Lighting bring you car number 32, Tyler Ripkema. And on the outside of the front row, he is a current NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour point leader and former champion, the Blue Mountain Machine and Future Homes number 16 from Norwalk, Connecticut, Ron Silk. And for the second time in his career, he has earned the Mayhew Tools Dominator Pole Award, the Dell Electric, Lumiere Electric, Andrew James Interior number 64. From Northampton, Pennsylvania, Austin Beers. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the starting lineup for today's Miller Lite 200, saluting Mike Ewanitsko. Drivers will get ready. They will get strapped in, and we will be ready to turn them loose. 200 laps here at this racetrack. If you were with us here in May, you saw an outstanding battle between two of the best. Ron Silk had the race in hand in the 16 car, but Justin Bonsignor, in the closing moments, was able to capitalize on some late race cautions and restarts to be able to get the victory the last time we were here. With that win, he has moved up on the all-time Whelen Modified Tour win list, and he wants more here at his home track. But Ronnie Silk, in that 16 car, knows one got away, and he doesn't want to let that happen again here tonight. The 64 car, Austin Beers, a kid that's walking around the pit area with a lot of swagger, a lot of confidence, driving well at many of the racetracks. He's right in the thick of the championship hunt. He's a young driver that's on the rise in the Whelen Modified Tour. He's on the pole position here tonight. Keep an eye on the driver from Northampton, Pennsylvania, as he brings these fields around to the green flag here today. Then you've got the wild cards. Timmy Salamito ran full-time on the tour at one time, but hasn't been full-time as he's focused on his design business. But when he shows up, especially here at this racetrack, that Timmy Salamito, number 66, is going to be somebody to contend to. So, who's it going to be, race fans? Are you going to pick your local favorites? Are you going to pick, well, your champion favorites? Maybe you're going to pick your Whelen Modified Tour regulars to win here tonight. But it's a great crowd here tonight at Riverhead. The second of 3 Whelen Modified Tour events here this season. The NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Championship definitely runs through this racetrack, and that is on the mind of everybody as they head into the summer stretch, the mid-season of a 19-race schedule that has them racing at tracks like New Smyrna in Florida, Riverhead here in New York, and North Wilkesboro Speedway in North Carolina before they crown the champion in Virginia at the famed half-mile Martinsville Speedway. The field is set, staged before you, 200 laps on the line, and an opportunity to capture victory here at this racetrack, the pride of Long Island here in Riverhead. Who's it going to be tonight? Who's going to get it done? Who's going to have their A game when we drop the green flag tonight? Only time will tell, and we're moments away from firing them up and turning them loose here today for 200 laps. Final preparations being made. Drivers getting strapped in. Ready to go. Belts tight, helmets on. Steering wheels attached to the column, getting fired up. The anticipation building as we get set to go racing here in Riverhead. Let's go trackside for the command to fire engines.
And now, for the most famous words in racing, from Mike Ewanitsko.
Drivers, start your engine!
Go upstairs to Joe Koss.
No better sound than the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour coming to life here on a Saturday night. And what a day it has been. And we are about ready to turn them loose. We'll have 5 pace laps before we go racing here this evening in Riverhead. And this evening, saluting Mike Ewanitsko. Mike on the golf cart as he makes his way around the racetrack. He'll leave the 23 modified behind him, the Ira Bromley number 23. Now, Mike Ewanitsko got his start in at both Islip, then transferred over to racing here at Riverhead, ran this car in Martinsville, and that car at the front of the field that will pace this field, Steve, is a car with a tremendous amount of history and tie to the Mike Ewanitsko Salute event here tonight.
When Michael was 14, 15 years old, Ira Bromley and Lou Hennessy hooked up with the Ewanitsko family at Islip Speedway and put Michael in this car. Dave Brigatti, a regular here on Saturday nights, and Brian Schwartz, Warren Collins, the entire team, made sure this car was ready here for tonight. A great job, and a thank you to them as well.
You couldn't ask for anything better here this evening. Pomp, circumstance, the pageantry of this event here today. Going over some final checks before we get underway. Give you a little bit of a heads up as what we'll see tonight. No change tires tonight. What you start the race on is what you'll finish on unless you have a flat or involved in an accident, and they'll allow you to change tires at that point in time. But you've got to run it to the finish. And boy, these races have been outstanding. And we've talked about the 3 races that are here at this racetrack. They're all a little bit different. And this time we've got a different tire. Not the same combination that we had in May. So just because you were fast, like Justin Bonsanur and Ron Silk a month ago, doesn't mean that that's going to carry over here tonight.
And what happens here in this race is all about pace. If the leader takes off and runs a fast pace, and everyone's chasing him, you'll end up, these guys will have no tires with 50 to go. If the leaders can pace this field, we'll have position changes from 10th on up to the lead in the last 50 laps. You'll have comers and goers based on what they do with their tires.
Now, the last time we were here, Doug Kobe in that 7 New York was penalized before the race began because of an unapproved adjustment, and he was 2 laps down before we even threw the green flag. Well, he had to take those 2 laps from the infield, but he got behind right from the start. Today he'll start 5th on the inside of row number 3, that black 7 New York. The Baldwin family has had a long history here at this racetrack, along with that 7 New York, but Doug Kobe really wasn't a factor a month ago because of that penalty.
Yeah, and the way the penalty worked, Doug Kobe he'd pass 10, 15 cars. But because he wasn't on the lead lap or 1 lap down, he'd have to go back. So Kobe probably passed more cars that day, but was unable to gain any positions unless drivers fell out.
So there is the field being paced by the Ira Bromley, number 23. That got it all started for Mike Ewanitsko and the partnership that Steve mentioned a moment ago. Behind them, the Racing with Jesus Ministries pace car pacing the field here tonight at Riverhead. And boy, what a look back in the history, not only for Mike Ewanitsko, for his career, for what it means to this area of racing. but also for the 75 years of NASCAR and the tribute that it started with modified race cars just like this on the beaches of Daytona. And now it has turned into the sport that we know and love and has canvassed the country today.
And a great job. That car was redone a couple of years back by Norman. We call him Stormin Norman. And he did some job. He's with the Gershow Motorsports team. He has Michael's number 36, the one they call Timex. He has that one next.
2 laps to go when they hit the line this time by. And so when they get down into turn number 3, race fans, let's make some noise. Get on your feet, wave your hat, salute these drivers as they get ready to go. They'll get the 1 to go this time by. Give them a big Riverhead Raceway send-off tonight. This is a Miller Lite salutes Mike Ewanitsko 200, modified racing at its best. As the field circulates back into turns 1 and 2, they're going to give him an extra lap. But the salute to race fans, to the drivers, to Mike Ewanitsko happening here tonight over the course of 200 laps. And it's about time to get up on the wheel. This time through the flag stand. 1 to go. 1 lap before we turn them loose.
Austin Beers, car number 64. Ron Silk, car number 16, will lead this field around. Tyler Ripkema and Riverhead regular Jack Hanley Jr. make up row number 2. Then there's a whole bunch of championships in row number 3 with Doug Kobe and Justin Bonsignor.
The pace truck pulls to the inside lane. The green flag is out, and we are underway in the Miller Lite salutes Mike Ewanitsko 200. Austin Beers racing down to the bottom lane, but he can't hold off Ronnie Silk, who challenges to the outside.
Silk in car number 16 with a move to the outside actually allows Austin Beers to get back in front of him, and Beers will head down the back straightaway. Silk to the second spot. To third is Jack Hanley Jr. Mike Ewanitsko Jr. just waved the green flag to start this event. For his dad, great job.
Top 5 go single file, but you've got a battle for 6th. The 32 of Tyler Ripkema, who started 3rd, did not have a good start. Works now to the inside of John Beatty Jr. Beatty working the outside lane of that red number 5. Puts the nose out in front at the entrance of turn 3.
John Beatty Jr., the MSM Elite Motorsports, number 5, has had some great runs here at Riverhead Raceway and Modified Tour events in recent seasons. And right now, he's to the outside of Tyler Ripkema for position number 6.
Went a bit wide through turns 3 and 4 that time. Ripkema able to take advantage. Now clears him off turn 2. Doug Kobe tries to fill the gap to the bottom, but could not do it. Kobe has to settle back in line.
They run single file, nose to tail. Car number 64, Austin Beers, your race leader. The 16 of Ronnie Silk is second. Third is Jack Hanley Jr. To fourth, settling in right now is Justin Bonsignor, and up to fifth is Kyle Bonsignor in car number 22.
Matt Hirschman, a handful of cars behind them. The yellow and red number 60 here tonight. Hirschman in the 60 started back in the 12th position, has already picked up 3 spots relatively early here, and he's had some good runs here in races at this racetrack driving that race car.
Yes, he finished second in the Islip 300, and I'll tell you what, if he had about 5 more laps, he probably would have won that. He had done an excellent job. He had never seen that race car. Sat in it for the first time in practice and did a great job to come home second.
Well, one thing is new is that Matt Hirschman, for the first time really in the last 325 laps, 323 laps, is not out in front. He's had a dominating 2 races at Lee USA Speedway, then Seekonk Speedway. Now, with a different team, this Elite Towing Baker Racing entry, the number 60, inside the top 10. But these race cars are not identical. This is a different type of modified, a different chassis, an LFR chassis, which is different than the car that he normally runs out of PD Motorsports, the black number 60. That's a Troyer modified. And that could be a difference here in how Matt Hirschman approaches this race.
And during the 300, you could see he was searching for grooves. He was trying to find his best way around the raceway. And then Hirschman was able to settle in. We had a late pit stop, and Matt Hirschman started to do what Matt Hirschman does late in an event. And he made his way to the front to come home second in the Elite Towing number 60.
Everybody pretty much settled into single file action except Craig Lutz. Craig Lutz working to the inside off turn number 4 in the number 82 machine, trying to find the lane underneath the 34 of J.B. Fortin. Just to the right of your frame as they guide their cars into turns 3 and 4. That battle is now tempered down for a little bit, but as I say that, here they come across the line, side by side again. Craig Lutz to the inside of J.B. Fortin on the back straightaway.
Craig Lutz with a good move early on in this event. 17 laps thus far completed.
And that's a team that really needs a good run. They have struggled to find speed. Although he's from Miller Place, New York, Craig Lutz is, he has not spent a lot of time racing at this racetrack. He decided to go to the other side of Long Island Sound to race in Connecticut on the shoreline at the Waterford Speed Bowl. That's where he cut his teeth in modified racing before joining the Whelen Modified Tour. But he has now moved into the 10th position. He'll start to close in on the back bumper of the 60 car of Matt Hirschman.
Right now, Doug Kobe starting to look to the inside of John Beatty Jr. here for the 7th spot.
Kobe 7 New York didn't qualify as well as he usually does here, and so he'll have to tiptoe his way through traffic. You alluded to the fact that he was able to work his way through the field, although he was 2 laps down when we were here in May, but really never got to see his race car. But then again, didn't need to push all that far, knowing that it was a car that he wasn't going to gain a whole lot by passing a bunch of race cars. We'll see what they learned that day and see if it'll help them tonight.
Good battle right now between those two as Austin Beers continues to set the pace and starts to pull away in car number 64. Beers running about a 12.0. Good pace to start this event for Austin Beers. Ronnie Silk sits second, and Jack Hanley Jr. is right on his rear bumper for third.
Jack Hanley's doing a really nice job here early on. Had the pole position for a long time during qualifying before getting knocked off in the late going, but he's putting a lot of pressure on Ron Silk. But we're 25 laps in, Steven. You watch the races here week in and week out at Riverhead. This is a different animal when you go 200 laps for these weekly drivers.
We have a 50-lap feature here is what our regular feature event is. And Jack Hanley Jr. is always at the front of the field. But you got to get going right away. Right now, with no pressure from behind from Justin Bonsignor, Jack Hanley should simply settle in here and run with Ron Silk and try and log laps and not wear that race car out. Right now, the car looks really good. 28 laps into this event.
So we'll keep an eye on lap 50 and see if that car changes a little bit from the weekly racing here at the track. Although they run tour type modifieds, and this car that Jack Hanley is driving here tonight, and the same with the 5 of John Beatty, the rubber is different. The Hoosier Racing tire is different. They normally put a little resin on the outside lane of the racetrack for weekly competition. That has not been applied in about a month. And so the racetrack is a little bit different from what they would see week to week, and that's one of the challenges that the local drivers have moving into the Whelen Modified Tour event. But at the same point in time, laps around a racetrack provides a tremendous amount of seat time when it's needed.
Right, and what he can do here is learn to pace himself. He doesn't have to be in such a hurry right now as Ronnie Silk starts to reel in the 64 of Austin Beers.
And also Doug Kobe working underneath John Beatty Jr. as we watch that battle for the 7 New York, digging down to the bottom. Through the turn they come, and on the back straightaway, Kobe had been patiently working him under. Now Matt Hirschman's going to close in behind, and now that John Beatty is up the racetrack, see if he can fill the hole down to the bottom, opened up by Doug Kobe.
Kobe with a good run down the back straightaway will take the position in the 7NY. 35 laps into this event, 34.
While this battle is pretty intense, a bit deeper in the field, the race lead has tightened up quite a bit. We see Hirschman now working underneath John Beatty, but up front, ahead of them, the race leaders are in heavy lap traffic. Austin Beers out in front, working now to the inside in turn number 3, trying to find a lane underneath J.R. Bertuccio. But in this battle, Ron Silk has been able to close right in on the back bumper of the 64 of Austin Beers.
And he's starting to look to the outside of Beers here. Beers continues to lead to the bottom of J.R. Bertuccio. Silk now gets to the bottom to follow Beers through.
You might have seen my pre-race preview that was shared on the social media accounts with NASCAR earlier in the day today. Ronnie Silk said, the only thing I need to do different to win at Riverhead is not mess up. He said, it was my fault of why I lost that race, and in not so many words, but Ronnie Silk he knows that he's got a capable race car. Phil Moran has prepared for him and that entire 16 team, and he's not going to go easily and allow him to lose a race after leading 164 laps here in May and see that slip away here again this year.
And Ronnie Silk has won here before in weekly competition. For Eddie Partridge, he's also won for Bill Park. Won 4 or 5 races, I believe. That's what he told me. I heard it was 3. He told me, no, it was 4 or 5. I said, I'm not going to argue with him.
That's a big fish story,
Yeah.
but I don't know the exact count, but he's good here, and he's got a lot of laps, just like we were talking about with the local drivers. That goes a long way. Austin Beers, on the other hand, now, he's led a lot of laps in a variety of races, but, you know, this is a racetrack that he doesn't have a tremendous amount of experience on, but he did have a top 5 run when we were here in May. So he's had some good runs here. Whether or not this kid can hang on for another 157 laps, well, only time will tell on that deal, but he's got a mirror full of Ron Silk at the moment.
And again, he continues to run 12 O's, 12 1s early on. Oh, Hirschman now to the inside of John Beatty Jr.
Now,
Ed Hirschman.
you look at it, we were talking about this battle a little while ago, right? Doug Kobe was able to get underneath John Beatty, and Hirschman was trying to fill that gap. But right now, because Hirschman is hung up trying to get around John Beatty Jr., who's got a very quick race car, he has lost almost a straightaway to what he was with Doug Kobe. Now, Craig Lutz is going to try to fill that gap as well, but Hirschman, you can see him getting a little bit impatient. He drove really deep up into turns 3 and 4 the last time through.
And Kobe, maybe one of the fastest cars on the raceway right now, as Ripkema looks to the inside of Bonsignor, and Kobe sits and watches.
Yeah, that's a great battle just a little bit further up, just outside the top 5. Right now, Craig Lutz able to get by John Beatty Jr. He got the job done. The 34 of J.B. Fortin is in the mix as well. Great battles there. You go up just a little bit further in the running order, though, and you look at this battle between the 32 of Tyler Ripkema, who just slid underneath Kyle Bonsignor to move inside the top 5. You got Doug Kobe in the middle of that, who's now starting to make a move in the 7 New Yorks. He's trying to follow the 32 of Tyler Ripkema on through underneath Kyle Bonsignor in the 22.
And it's like a hornet's nest back there because you have 2-lap cars that are not slow. In the 49 car, Chris Young, and the 2 car of J.R. Bertuccio. So they're trying to hold their spot and not get lapped, but here come these cars. Oops, caution flag down.
36 of Dave Sapienza has spun to the inside of turns 3 and 4. Sparks are also flying off the right front of Melissa Fifield. She's got a right front tire that is down, and that's going to bring us under the first caution of the day here. 52 laps into the Miller Lite Salute. Mike Ewanitsko 200 here at Riverhead, and we are after a feverish pace there to get started, and it was just starting to get pretty crazy between the 32 of Ripkema, Doug Kobe, and Kyle Bonsignor racing for position while in the middle of lap traffic.
And what you're seeing now is some of these cars have basically just been riding. But all of a sudden, when you get in that lap traffic and lanes are opening up, these drivers like Doug Kobe and Tyler Ripkema are trying to make their way to the front. So right now, what a ride for the 64 car of Austin Beers. But Ronnie Silk in car number 16 was starting to catch him.
Caught him in lap traffic. And now 53 laps in. Pit road is closed here under the caution. Again, no change tires for this particular race, but when pit road opens, they'll have an opportunity to have a few cars go in for service. One car went down pit road. I think it was a 46 of Justin Brown, but the red light seems to be illuminated from our perspective. It appeared as though pit road was closed. Few cars pulling up to pit here as they make their way into turn 3.
Now it's open.
So J.R. Bertuccio, Dave Sapienza, Ken Hagee all lined up to the outside lane, and they will make their way back into the pit area. Caution laps do count, so any service that is done here under the caution, they've got to be pretty quick and efficient to make sure that they can stay inside the lead lap. So they'll make adjustments when possible and then make their way back out onto the racetrack. Get a good look at some of the action if you're joining us online with Flow Racing broadcast. The J.R. Bertuccio, number 2, making his way back into the pit area. So we've talked a lot about the race leader in Austin Beers as you continue to watch some of the pit service back in the paddock area. But, you know, Austin Beers today in the 64 car, really walked around the pit area with a bounce in his step, a little bit of swagger. And all last season we were going through saying, you know, what he needs is just a little bit more aggressiveness on the racetrack. Not over-aggressive, but he was a little bit timid, tiptoeing his way through the competition. I think that win in Richmond and success over the past couple of weeks, a strong, consistent run through the first 7 races this season. Austin Beers has got a swagger and a bounce in his step that seems to be serving him well, and you can just see the confidence in that driver.
I noticed it as soon as he walked into the pits today. When he got here last time, or the first time he was here, he looked frightened. He really did. He went up to the racetrack. I was with him and his dad, Eric, and he went up to the racetrack and he looked and he went, "Oh my goodness, what am I going to do on this thing?" And here he is today, probably 3 races later now, and he's leading the first 58 laps of this event. He's done a great job. And as you say, his demeanor, even the way he's driving the race car, is different. He's just ready to go.
Wave around cars coming back around as we get back under the green flag here. 59 laps in when the green flag comes out. Austin Beers tries to slide up the racetrack to take the line away from Ronnie Silk, and he does. Silk has to pedal it midway down the back straightaway, and Beers back out in front.
Here comes Jack Hanley Jr. at car number 45 to the inside of Ronnie Silk. Hanley, with a good run down the back straightaway, tries to come to position number 2.
And this will be that test we were talking about with Hanley. Will his car be strong on the long run after lap 50, the traditional distance here on a weekly basis at this track? Right now he's challenging a former Whelen Modified Tour champion who is outside with the lead directly ahead.
62 laps into this event. Austin Beers leads, but he's got cars all around him. Here comes Silk to the outside.
They are putting the heat on Austin Beers, and that is being led by Ron Silk. Silk leads that lap. He puts the nose out in front with car number 16. The outside lane is rolling. Silk, Bonsignor, Kobe, 3 champions stacked up in the outside lane with Austin Beers down low.
Austin Beers doing all he can to hold these cars back, but Ronnie Silk in car number 16 will come to the race lead. Bonsignor now gets to the outside. Oh, contact.
Austin Beers drove deep down into turns 3 and 4 and got into the left rear of Ronnie Silk. Hanley lost some ground in the exchanges. His car went sideways, but everybody continues on. Again, contact from the 64. Beers driving it deep down on the bottom, out of his rhythm for a moment, trying to gather it back in as everybody freight trains the 64 to the outside.
What a ride by Doug Kobe and Justin Bonsignor to come to second and third and bring Kyle Bonsignor with him. Jack Hanley Jr. now has gotten to the outside behind Bonsignor as he tries to go around Austin Beers.
Beers is looking for relief, looking for his spotter to say clear all around, but he fights to the bottom. Had a window off the end of the front straightaway, but dove deep underneath Kyle Bonsignor. Now Hanley drives to the outside lane of 3.
What a battle up front as Ronnie Silk continues to lead the way. The 51 of Justin Bonsignor has come to second. Doug Kobe, though, all over the back bumper for the 3rd spot.
And this is what Doug Kobe does, right? He moved up a little bit before that caution flag, continued to chip away just outside the top 5, took advantage of that restart, and now all of a sudden you got a driver out in front, Ron Silk, looking for victory. The 2 guys behind him got 13 wins between the 2 of them here at this racetrack. They know how to get it done at Riverhead.
And throw Kyle Bonsignor into the mix as he's been strong here tonight and in previous events. In the 22 car, Jack Hanley Jr. is 5th. 6th is Austin Beers. Ripkema, 7th. 8th, John Beatty Jr. 9th, the 82 car of Craig Lutz. And 10th, here comes the 66 of Timmy Solomito.
It's a very positive turnaround for that 22 of Kyle Bonsignor. They haven't put up a bunch of big numbers this year, but they have put up strong, consistent finishes. We've had a stretch of short tracks that are flat over the past 4 or 5 races, this one probably being one of the most aggressively banked, along with the Monadnock Speedway up in New Hampshire, that we have raced over the past several weekends. But that 22 car has put a string together of 4 top 10 finishes. Right now, he's running 4th. Cam McDermott behind the scenes turning the wrenches. Brand new race cars with this team to start the season. They put some money in, they put some effort in, and that performance, that extra investment in time and effort in that 22 team for Kyle Bonsignor is really paying off.
And for Kyle Bonsignor, Bayshore, Long Island is his hometown. But he never really ran a modified here. He always ran go-karts at this facility, and then he moved.
He lives out in the Midwest. He will be on an airplane tomorrow, headed back home to run a tool truck, which is what he does for a living. But, you know, one thing he said to me earlier today, he said, Cam McDermott has forced me to be a good note taker. And so when I get on that airplane tomorrow morning, I've got to put all my notes down and really think through every aspect of the day, from practice to qualifying to the different stages of the race. And he said that is one of the reasons why our program has gotten so much better this season, is that I've been more diligent about my note taking and using that to grow and build the program as the season and the races go on.
And he's doing a great job here tonight as he runs in the fourth spot in car number 22. Reset the deck, 81 laps into this event. Ron Silk, your race leader, but now he's got a mirror full of Justin Bonsignor. Bonsignor trying to tie Mike Ewanitsko for his 11th career NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour victory here at Riverhead Raceway, and he's putting the pressure on Ronnie Silk here, 82 laps into this event.
We certainly spent a lot of time talking about the greats in modified competition. We talked about Mike Ewanitsko today, a 28-time winner on the tour, 11 times at this racetrack. But what we are seeing now in the modern era of modified racing really is history in the making. Doug Coby, 6 championships. Justin Bonsignor, 3 championships. The both of them only 1 win apart on the all-time win list in NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour competition, and they are near the top behind guys like Mike Stefanik, Reggie Ruggiero, Ted Christopher. You've got Justin Bonsignor, Tony Hirschman, and Doug Coby in that order. We are witnessing some of the best history in modified racing that has ever been played out in the history of open wheel competition.
And they don't seem to be slowing down at all. Both drivers continue to be competitive. They're in competitive equipment, and the championship this year could be either one of them.
Bonsignor said earlier, at 35 years old, I just hope that I can race into my 50s, and then maybe I can be just as recognized as some of the drivers like Stefanik and Christopher before me. Here is the battle up front, though. You notice the outside lane really starting to come in. That's how they got by Austin Beers. Everybody moved up the lane while Beers stayed on the bottom. Justin Bonsignor is looking even higher on Ron Silk to see if he can make that lane work.
It's almost looking like he's trying to get the momentum run and perhaps pull that car to the bottom and get underneath of the 16 car. See how high he sends it through the corner, and then he looks to the bottom. With lap traffic in front of him right now, he can't make that move, but he did that here last time the Modified Tour was here. And Bonsignor right now is in hunting mode. He's trying to find the best place for that Phoenix Communications number 51 car.
Last time we were here, Silk dominated the race and gave up the lead late to Justin Bonsignor. Now Bonsignor is putting a lot more pressure on him early, as we're just 8 laps away from halfway. But Bonsignor putting the heat on, but he continues to run about a half a groove higher than just about anybody else on the racetrack. And he's a guy that knows a lot of tricks here at this speedway. There's got to be something that he is seeing out there that's a little bit more advantageous for that 51 car at the moment.
It almost looks like he's able to get more of the right rear up high there and get a better run than Silk. But now as he tries it, Silk pulls about a car length advantage over him in car number 16.
We did talk about the resin that they apply here to the outside lane. You know, after a couple of races, it does fade away, but you know, when you start running on it, that resin begins to activate, different rubber on it like it is tonight. That could be coming into a factor, and Bonsignor searching around a little bit, seeing if he could find a little extra speed out of that 51 or find a way to save his tires in a way that the others are not. That's the other factor that we've got to put into play with still 104 laps to go. You've got to be good in that last 20-lap stint to the finish if you want to capture the checkered flag.
Ronnie Silk continues to set the pace, and he's starting to pull away from Justin Bonsignor. Could that be by design for Bonsignor, as he saw how high he could run on this raceway and still make that car rotate? So Bonsignor could have settled in here in the second spot as Doug Coby sits third. Fourth is Kyle Bonsignor. Fifth, great run for Jack Hanley Jr. as we approach halfway in the Suffolk Precast number 45. Sixth is Austin Beers. Seventh, Tyler Ripkema. John Beatty Jr. to the 8th spot. 9th is the 82 of Craig Lutz. And 10th is Timmy Salamita.
So we're just at the halfway point now with Ron Silk out in front. And we've talked about Jack Hanley Jr. in that 45 and the strong run that he has had all day long, qualified inside the top 5. He's running there now in the 5th position. We're now twice the distance of a normal weekly Saturday night feature event. But his car hasn't backed off at all. That mid-run speed now continues in that 45, and he continues to look poised for a good top 5 run tonight.
His first career victory here was in an extra distance race. I believe it was the Cecil Palm Tree, was for Eddie Partridge. I think it was the 106 or 136. But that was his first victory in a modified. Was the driver of car number 45, Jack Hanley Jr. So, right now, he doesn't seem to be out of caution flag down.
Caution flag is out here, the second of the race. On lap 103 when the caution flag flew. We've got the 2 car of J.R. Bertuccio, who's paused in the infield. Don't see any other incidents out on the course, but the caution flag is out, and it is for the 2 car. Window net was down on the 2 car for J.R. Bertuccio. And that is the reason for the caution. So will give us an opportunity to reset here. Ronnie Silk, the race leader, 106 laps in. Justin Bonsignore, Doug Coby, second and third. Kyle Bonsignore is fourth. Jack Hanley Jr. is fifth. Now, Austin Beers led early, took the lead until Ron Silk took it away on the restart on lap 63, but he has slid back to sixth. Tyler Ripkema, seventh. John Beatty Jr., eighth. Craig Lutz and Timmy Salamito, that's your top 10. Now, Matt Hirschman had moved up to ninth in that first 20-30 lap stint, but he has been outside the top 10 since then. He's been pretty quiet, Steve. He's running 11th.
I don't know if he's just saving his equipment at this point. It doesn't look like he's running as hard as he did earlier in the event. So perhaps Matt Hirschman knows what he's got, and he's going to take his time to get to the front of the field. What we have noticed is, as Joe Koss pointed out, they've moved up quite a ways up the raceway. They were using that bottom group. They were almost under the white line many laps for the first 50, 60 laps. And now, as Joe pointed out, Ronnie Silk, Justin Bonsignore, they're all up to the top of the raceway. Bunch of cars heading to the pits.
Including Brian Narducci is one. I thought J.B. Fortin was going to make his way to pit road, but he did not go down pit road. He's navigating to the outside lane of everybody else and now has made his way to pit road. So the 34 of J.B. Fortin now heading down pit road. You see the other cars working their way through. Justin Brown is on pit road. Ken Hagee is on pit road, which is just off turns 3 and 4. So they exit the racetrack here in turn 3, come back on in turn 4. Again, they are trying to maintain and keep everybody on the lead lap. So that is what the process is. Here's Ken Hagee making his way back out onto the racetrack momentarily, but all types of things happen on a short racetrack when you've got caution laps counting.
A lot of cars. Hagee going to try and go back around and head back to the pits to finish his adjustments. Ken Hagee.
So Brian Narducci back out on track along with Ken Hagee in team. The 49 car of Chris Young. He was the lucky dog. He'll get the beneficiary here and be able to come back around on the lead lap as he will rejoin at the tail end of the field. 17 cars on the lead lap. The restart will come on lap 112 of 200 here tonight. And it's Ron Silk, the race leader. And look what lane he chose for the restart. He chose the outside lane.
Ronnie Silk to the outside on the button. And Silk right back to the race lead. Here comes Coby on the bottom.
Silk, a great start. Rockets to the race lead once again. Justin Bonsignore there in second. Now behind him, Kyle Bonsignore on the back bumper. Those two are cousins. Down to the inside lane, Coby trying to fend off the challenge, but that bottom lane giving up spots on a second consecutive restart as now Kyle Bonsignore puts a nose ahead of Doug Coby.
I think Doug Coby went for the early shot to see if he can get down there and get some grip. And now Coby has worked his way to the top of the raceway. And Doug Coby, with slight contact, comes back to the fourth spot. John Beatty Jr. to fifth.
Trouble for Austin Beers. He gets shuffled out of line. and he goes back a handful of spots. His car very loose off turn number 2, was able to gather it back in. So Beers struggling for the second consecutive restart. The first time he was battling with Hanley, got rocketed up the racetrack in turn 4. They nearly went 3 wide. Now he's getting pushed wide again. Craig Lutz works down to the inside lane. Austin Beers hung out to dry. This time he's in the outside lane going backwards.
Beers has not, he had contact with Kobe in the 7NY, and that could be the reason for the drop in position as it happened in turn number 3. But right now, even Matt Hirschman feeling the heat to the outside.
If you saw the sparks flying along the front straightaway, that came off the number 81 car of Mark Stewart, who caught the outside wall, racing with Matt Hirschman in the 60 car. Stewart made his debut here in the Whelen Modified Tour today, his first career start in the 81, and he is now in the 12th spot, working the outside lane around Hirschman.
Doing a nice job in car number 81. Here comes the 58 of Eric Goodale. Goodale to the outside of Hirschman as well. Goodale's been quiet thus far. He started deep in the field. He's starting to move his way through now as he goes to the 12th spot to the outside of Matt Hirschman.
Qualifying at this track, traditionally, you look at the stats, has been very important. And when you start 17th in a Whelen Modified race here in Riverhead, it is hard to work your way through the field. And Eric Goodale has won here before, but he has struggled. He's sitting back in 14th right now, trying to take 13th away from Matt Hirschman, and he does at the line, picks up another spot, but he's got a long way to go to get to the top 10. Out front, it's Ron Silk. They'll see 75 laps to go. This time by, Silk continues to look in that rear view mirror and see Justin Bonsignor as he runs a bit higher still. Kyle Bonsignor in third. Kobe continues to put pressure on him in the 4th position.
What a job by Ronnie Silk on that restart to get ahead of Justin Bonsignor. Bonsignor settled in for the 2nd spot, and right now he'll ride.
Boy, a moment ago, J.B. Fortin just sent it off turn 4. It was off camera from the Flow Racing broadcast, but J.B. Fortin sent it up the hill and nearly collided with Matt Hirschman. Matt Hirschman has now lost a few more spots. He's back to the 16th spot, but something happened there as Fortin just sailed it deep off turn 4.
Hirschman making his way back around the 26 car of Max Ackham. And an uncharacteristic for Matt Hirschman thus far. The Alan Deering owned number 60.
Well, those two have had issues before. A year ago at Monadnock Speedway up in New Hampshire, Fortin and Hirschman came together. It cost Hirschman an opportunity to win while JB was a lap down. We'll keep an eye on that situation. They're about 4 or 5 car lengths apart at the moment. The top 4 you see on your screen, it's 2 cars starting to open things up a little bit. Contact, Bonsignor into the back of Ronnie Silk. Those two able to open things up as Kyle Bonsignor and Doug Kobe fall back as they battle for 3rd.
Great battles on the raceway. Bonsignor continues to hunt the 16 car of Ronnie Silk. Silk, 134 laps into this event, is your race leader. Justin Bonsignor is 2nd, Kyle Bonsignor 3rd. Doug Kobe is 4th, and John Beatty Jr. rounds out the top 5.
Yeah, John Beatty Jr. a lap ago got around Jack Hanley Jr. to move into the top 5. You were here that night when he had an outstanding event and an opportunity to win. Came, about 50 feet away from winning his first Modified Tour race.
And it started, he picked the outside, right? And Justin even said it in victory lane. You pick the outside, I got no tires left. We might make contact. And he was able to get ahead, and Beatty spun him right here at the start-finish line. And Justin came across the raceway backwards.
And won the race. One of his 10 victories for Justin Bonsignor. There you see the 5 of John Beatty Jr. driving with Jack Hanley Jr. in the number 45. A great battle and a great drive for both of these drivers as we get deeper into this Miller Lite Salutes Mike Ewanitsko 200 here tonight. Those two drivers toe-to-toe, and I was looking at some of the lap times. They are running times that are just as fast, even though they're in traffic, as Justin Bonsignor. They're falling back a little bit when they get in lap traffic, but, they're not all that far off the pace, and they're having a pretty good run here in the late going.
Yeah, they look good here, and it's, you're 140 laps in. This is almost a Saturday night feature left for these guys. So let's see what kind of car they have left with 50 to go.
Yeah, they just don't have a lot of tires left.
Right.
At this point, comparatively. You know, Ron Silk at the point has been able to open things up a little bit. You see some great battles deeper in the field. The 34 of J.B. Fortin working the outside lane of Eric Goodale. Now, Fortin was on pit road. That's a new race car that they brought out. They had a terrible day. They had electrical problems. The crank trigger broke. They missed some practice. They were really struggling with this race car. Brand new built. They replaced their old car because they found that the chassis was bent. And they've been on and off pit road now, and that adjustment that they made has seemed to pay off because that car is charging to the front, and he's turning very fast lap times, only a little bit slower than what the race leader Ronnie Silk is moving.
Yeah, J.B. Fortin looks good right now as Silk is starting to pull away from Bonsignor. 55 laps to go.
There's that battle there between first and second, the 16 of Ron Silk. Bonsignor right there in second. Only a couple of car lengths behind, but you can see Ronnie Silk's car is moving through the lap traffic very efficiently. And sometimes that's a hard position to be as the race leader, but Silk is wasting no time with the lap cars.
Yeah, he is going where they are not. And Ronnie Silk he's starting to pull away. He's actually seems a little more aggressive than he's been the entire race at this point.
I think he's hungry. He's
Oh,
never
yeah.
won at this racetrack in Whelen
for
Modified Tour
24.
competition. Yeah, I mean, this guy is as hungry as they come. We talked about the swagger of Austin Beers earlier in the day, who, by the way, has fallen back to the 10th position. You know, Ron Silk is a pretty reserved guy, but he's one of the most talented drivers in Modified Tour competition. Today, he had a little pep in his step, too. He walked in here with some confidence, and, you know, sometimes when you know it's your day, it's your day, and Ron Silk kind of had that air about him that he knew he was going to have a good run here tonight. Can he hang on for the final 49 laps? A lot can happen, but he's proving right now that he's in the mix with an opportunity to bring it home and make it 1 for 25.
And a lot can happen, especially when you look in your mirror, and here comes the 51 car of Justin Bonsignor. And they're approaching some fast lap traffic.
Yeah, you've got Justin Brown down at the bottom, Brian Narducci, who's trying to figure out this racetrack for the first time. That car crashed in practice earlier today, really put him back behind the 8 ball as the leaders bypass him to the outside lane. Just ahead, J.B. Fortin and Matt Hirschman. We were talking about the challenges they have had. Hirschman has gotten by Fortin. Fortin was about a car lane or a straightaway ahead of these guys, and he's falling back now. So something went away.
He made contact with someone coming through 3 and 4 here and ended up way up high. And they were able to go all around him. And he did a nice job. He let everybody go and they got back in line as opposed to wrecking his race car. That is J.B. Fortin.
That slowed a run that was headed towards at least the top 11, maybe 12. But now he is mired back behind Eric Goodale, Matt Hirschman, and directly in front of the race leaders, Ron Silk in the 15th position. So Silk starting to close in on Fortin. He's probably about 10 car lengths behind this battle that we watch right now with Justin Bonsignor, who continues to look higher and higher and higher, but Ron Silk just unfazed by the different line that Bonsignor is running.
I think Silk, and here's the problem. When you think about Ron Silk in this facility, he's, okay, you could say he's 0 for 24, 0 for 25, whatever, he's 0 for 24, but it's got to be so hard to be 0 for 24 and throw in a bunch of top 3s, top 2s, and just miss by a lap, lead the most of the race, and do all of that work. And here Ronnie Silk right now is pacing himself, and he's keeping Justin Bonsignor at bay as they approach J.B. Fortin, Melissa Fifield. He's going to start hitting some heavy, heavy lap traffic here.
Yeah, Silk has had many a good day here. He's finished second 2 times at this track. He's had 3rd place finishes in all 3 of the races last year with the 2nd finish that he had earlier this year. That's 4 consecutive podium finishes for that 16. But he's got to change that number. Bonsignor, he wants win number 11. Remember, it's the Mike Ewanitsko salute event here tonight. Ewanitsko is on property. He's got 11 track victories, a record at this racetrack. Bonsignor is at 10. And while Ewanitsko is here, a driver that he was pursuing an autograph for as a kid, he wants to be able to tie that record, and Mike Ewanitsko said, I want to be there the night somebody does, because records are made to be broken, and it'd be a tie tonight if Monsignor can get it done.
And he's excited for Justin. He's watching him here tonight, rooting for him. Oh, Hirschman, right in front of your leader, brushes the wall with the right front tire in car number 60.
It's not the first time we have seen a car in trouble in front of the race leader this season. It seems like it happens just about every race on tour. But Ron Silk and Justin Bonsignor work to the outside of big money Matt Hirschman, and they will put the 60 car a lap down, something that Hirschman did to just about everybody the last time we raced at Seacon.
Look at Silk to the bottom, underneath the 58 car of Eric Goodale. Ronnie Silk. Oh, he gets loose. That could be a problem.
They had to go to the bottom. They had been working lap traffic with the leaders to the outside lane, but Goodale took the top, and that forced the leaders down to the bottom. There's Stewart in the 81. They'll go around him, still having a pretty solid run here today in the 81 car in the 12th spot.
29 laps to go this time by for Ron Silk and Justin Bonsignor. Kyle Bonsignor and Doug Kobe are starting to catch them through lap traffic.
Silk has been out in front for 108 laps, took it over on lap number 63, and the laps continue to wind down. His crew chief, Phil Moran, just wants to be able to get out of this racetrack unscathed. This racetrack has not been too kind to him over the years, and it was always one of the racetracks that they struggled with, but now he's got an opportunity with Ron Silk to turn that around and get a win today.
Doug Kobe just went to the inside of Kyle Bonsignor for the third spot. Bonsignor started getting loose up out of turn number 2, and Kobe was able to capitalize.
Yeah, took advantage of it. We saw that car drift up the racetrack in the battle for third and fourth. So Kobe trying to rally and get a podium finish here under now 25 laps to go. The race leaders have gotten through the thickest of the lap traffic now. Ron Silk has Brian Narducci up ahead, but they've got a little bit of room to work before they catch the tail end of the main group of cars and get deeper inside the top 10 as they battle towards the finish of this one tonight.
What a great job by Ron Silk and Justin Bonsignor as they came through traffic and were able to put some distance between third place Doug Kobe and fourth place Kyle Bonsignor.
Clear racetrack ahead if you can have that on a tight bull ring racetrack like Riverhead for Ron Silk. And he looks in the rearview mirror. The lead is as big as it has been all day long. It's about 5 car lengths back to the second place Justin Bonsignor in second. Then you have to go back about 10 car lengths to Doug Kobe in the 7 New York. Kobe is going a little bit quicker. He's gone to the afterburners, and he's turning laps just as fast as Justin Bonsignor and a little bit slower than what Ronnie Silk is going at the moment.
And they're about to catch the top 10. They are not far from the top 10 right now. Ronnie Silk is your race leader. Justin Bonsignor in second. Doug Kobe is third. Fourth is Kyle Bonsignor. Fifth, you have to go all the way back to Jack Hanley Jr., car number 45. Sixth is Tyler Ripkema. Seventh, Timmy Solomito. Eighth, Roger Turbich. Ninth, John Beatty Jr. And 10th, Austin Beers. And they're in the same straightaway as Austin Beers.
It might be too little too late, but Doug Kobe is gone to the afterburner. I mean, he was 0.2 faster last time through than Justin Bonsignor, a 10th faster than Ron Silk, but he's a long way behind him. Now, 8 car lengths behind the second place machine is Doug Kobe, but 14, now 15 laps to go, rather. Time is running out for Kobe to become a factor.
Oh, Silk clipped the wall on the backstretch with the right rear tire.
Is that the mistake that will make Ron Silk vulnerable? The race leader is all on the back straightaway. Silk works to the outside of Dave Zapienza. Comes across the line. Doesn't seem to be any issue with the race car, though, and Justin Bonsignor has not yet closed in. But Kobe in third, about a straightaway behind, continues to be faster than the 2 race leaders.
Ronnie Silk, car number 16, starting to stretch out his lead as they head back to lap traffic. He's about 2 laps away from catching your 10th place competitor, Austin Beers. Maybe more than 2 laps.
Kobe was gaining, but he gave up a ton. He missed the turn and gave up 0.3 of a second. Everything that he had gained, he lost just that quick. To the line this time by. 10 laps to go for the race leader, Ron Silk. It's a 6-car length advantage back to Justin Bonsignor.
Silk enjoys his largest lead of the night in car number 16 as he laps Ken Hagee and heads down the back straightaway. Justin Bonsignor some 5-car lengths back, and Doug Kobe is starting to catch Bonsignor.
The advantage, though, for Ron Silk is growing. About half a straightaway now, the distance between first and second. There you see the top 3. Silk in the 16, the Bonsignor 51, and Doug Kobe in the 7 New York. The battle now could be for second. Bonsignor looks in the rearview mirror, and Doug Kobe is coming, trying to get one more spot before the finish.
Doug Kobe in the 7 NY. Reeling in Justin Bonsignor, but it's going to be too little too late as Ronnie Silk is 5 laps away in the Phil Moran, number 16. Moran had won here with Doug Kobe. Then he went to the Ronnie Silk team, the Tyler Haight team. And they're trying to hold on here. 3 to go this time by.
Ron Silk knows that the battle is on for second behind them, and with those 3 laps to go, knows that that'll slow those 2 cars up. But the challenge for him is a few cars ahead. He's got lap traffic, but I don't think he's going to need to challenge those lap cars. He's got enough of an advantage. 2 laps to go. Ronnie Silk across the line. Ronnie Silk guides his car into turn number 3. This time through. White flag is out. Ronnie Silk has tried many, many years, many times to win at Riverhead Raceway. He's come close many times before, but tonight is his night. For the 2nd time this season, Ronnie Silk has won on the Whelen Modified Tour. Across the line, Justin Bonsignor holds on for second. Doug Kobe, Kyle Bonsignor, Jack Hanley Jr. with a great run. Rounding out the top 5, you got Roger Turbush, solid run for him. He'll come home 6th. Tyler Ripkema. John Beatty Jr. was 8th. 9th for Timmy Salanito. And the pole sitter, Austin Beers, slid back to the 10th spot. Eric Goodale rallied back for 11th. J.B. Fortin was 12th. Mark Stewart in his debut, 13th. Craig Lutz, 14th. Mac Hirschman was 15th. Max Ackham, 16th tonight, along with Chris Young, Justin Brown at 18th, Dave Sapienza, and Brian Narducci. That is your top 20. Ken Hagee, Melissa Fifield, and J.R. Bertuccio rounding out the finishing order here tonight. Ronnie Silk came oh so close to winning this race when we were here in May. Today, he will extend his championship point lead, picks up his 2nd win of the 2023 season, and Ronnie Silk down here in Riverhead Raceway Victory Lane, something that he has been working for, to be able to become victorious at this racetrack where he's had so many races, so much success, but no Whelen Modified Tour victories until tonight, and it comes, and the Miller Lite salutes Mike Ewanitsko 200. Justin Bonsignor tonight, he wanted that 11th victory. He came up just a little bit short. They invert the order from where they finished in May. Today, it's Ron Silk on top, Bonsignor 2nd, and Doug Kobe back on the podium here tonight in Riverhead, and these 3 will be battling through the rest of the season to race for the Whelen Modified Tour Championship. Silk has done it. Phil Moran, Joe Yanone, Tyler Haight, the car owners on that number 16 modified, and he's about ready to climb out of the race car. All smiles, the confidence of a win. The team joins him down there in victory lane of the racetrack, but boy, what a show for Ronnie Silk. Took over the race lead on lap number 63, and he was challenged by some of the best in the business, but he never looked back and was able to drive to victory here tonight. Congratulations from the entire crew, the team on hand. And when Ron Silk gets out of that race car, give him a big Riverhead Raceway congratulations for his victory and his drive today. Doug Kobe in victory lane to offer congratulations. These guys have all grown up racing against each other, whether it's in go-karts and then eventually moving up to modified competition like you see here tonight. They have raced each other for a long, long time, and those rivalries continue. As he comes out of the race car, let's go trackside to victory lane and Steve Halpin.
We need Mike Ewanitsko in victory lane. Here he comes. I know you couldn't wait to see me today. It's about time, buddy. Listen, we were saying it's to not win here is one thing, but when you run so well, so many times, your team puts everything together and you get a late restart or something where you're killing this field. And then all of a sudden, you got to go fight for it again after you already took the lead. Well, tonight you laid it on them, my friend. You did some job. This has to feel amazing for you, your team, and everybody involved.
Yeah, it certainly does. I feel like, we probably had the car to beat last time we were here, and I got beat on those last restarts. So luckily didn't have to face that again. Again, my guys brought a great car. But, this is cool, special to me. I won a championship driving for Eddie Partridge. This is his track, and obviously we all wish he was still around. And, we all miss him, and really cool to I'm honored to win the race that they recognized Mike Ewanitsko. I heard him say that he didn't think he did enough to be recognized. I think he did more than enough.
He'd be happy to hear that. He's going to be out here in a minute. You'll get to talk to him. And, I mean, this is not a new deal, but something that came together for you, and it seems to have worked out great with Phil Moran, Tyler Haight, and everyone else involved.
I'm super lucky to have great owners like Tyler, Joe Yanone, HYR Racing. Lucky to have a crew chief like Phil Moran and car chief like Bob Tulipani. They spend a lot of time on these cars. We work on them a lot together, and it's a lot of fun.
Congratulations. Great job. Hang on. Let's get Ewanitsko in here. Come on in, Michael.
Good job, Ronnie. Awesome job. What a race. I enjoyed myself a ton. I might have to come back next week.
All right, we'll be here. Let's get the trophy in here. We'll get a picture with you guys. Let him hear it one more time, folks. Ronnie Silk finally finds his way to victory lane here at Riverhead Raceway. Now we got the second place guy. Justin Bonsignor. First of all, outstanding race. You and Ronnie, it's always a good race with you guys. And I know it's a different tire here today. Was there a lot of difference about that?
A little bit. I mean, we were able to run a harder pace, I think, for sure, than we've been in the past. But John L was just going to stop spraying the racetrack. It just makes it one groove. I mean, I tried it like lap 130 or 40 to try the bottom, and I lost 6-7 car lengths. And you're just glued to the top. It's unfortunate, but we would have loved to win with Michael here tonight. Appreciate the track for everything they did for Mike, and honoring him while he's still around and well deserving of it. We'll come back in September and see if we can do it. I mean, Ron's been the best car here both times so far. We snuck away with one last time, so I mean, even if there was a late caution, I don't think I could have done anything with him because he was going to take the top. So just really tough to race like that right around the top. You can't even get a wheel outside of it because we're just right at the cushion. So that's part of it. They hit it a little better than us. I think maybe if we had track position on him, he would have had a tough time getting by us. But all in all, good night. Can't thank everybody enough from the Phoenix Communications team. Ken Massa, Janine Massa. Ryan Stone and the guys did a great job today, so lost a few points around, but we're still clicking off good finishes here, so we'll go to Wall Stadium next.
All right, pal, congratulations. Let him hear it, folks. Justin Bonsignor comes home second here tonight. This thing was going at the end, buddy. You know what? Why? I'd love to talk to you, pal. I'll tell you what, you had a rough start. You got shuffled to the back, and then you worked your way, not to the back, but you lost a bunch of spots on the bottom, and then you worked your way back. This thing was great at the end.
Yeah, the Mayhew Tool 7NY was a little bit better than the 51 at the end, but I don't know what Justin said, but I want the race fans to know we want to put on a show and run side by side, but, we show up here, we don't know where the track spray is. 10 championships between the drivers here on the front stretch, and, they don't ask us. We'd really like to, but that's just how it goes. I'm happy for Phil and Ron and their team. They work really hard, and I know it's been Ron's really been trying to win here at Riverhead. I know the feeling. first Riverhead win on the tour. So we got to work on this. You know, we really want to put on a good show. If I could have got some grip on the bottom there next to Justin, I could have maybe even pulled up, you know, past him and then chased the 16 down. But, you know, when there's one groove out here to race and you can't put your right sides outside of that, it's all you can do is ride around single file. So, you know, not the best show, I don't think, but at least we're all in one piece.
All right, pal, congratulations. Let him hear it, folks. Doug Kobe comes home third. That will end tonight's program. We thank you for coming out to Riverhead Raceway with some weather challenges here today. Great job by Tom Gatz, Connie Partridge, John Elwood, and the entire staff to get this race in here tonight. We say congratulations to Ron Silk and his entire team for taking down his first NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour win here at Riverhead Raceway. On behalf of Connie Partridge, Tom Gatz, General Manager John Elwood, and Race Director Aaron Larson, we say goodnight. Drive home safely. And good night, Bob Finan.